What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode, we're rolling it back to UC 112 as we begin our coverage of Mobile Suit Gundam F90 Fastest Formula. This manga will be the bridge between the Mafty Uprising, the Formula Project, Mars Zeon, Crossbone Vanguard, and the Jupiter Empire. In this story, we will see a team operating behind the scenes, 7 years after Mafty. This is the story of F90 and its 26 mission packs, one for every letter of the alphabet. Remember when I said there's a lot of these? Well, we're about to power through them. Let's not waste any time, and let's get into this. Before we begin, let's go back to UC 0096, where we first saw the Loto in Gundam Unicorn, standing at 12.2 meters tall. This SNRI mobile suit was one of the first in making things small. However, it lacks power at this size in UC 0096, and is essentially a space tank that could carry 8 people. It wasn't until UC 102, when a new Federation bidding war began between Anaheim Electronics and SNRI. AE created the MSA 120 Drag as their attempt to miniaturize mobile suits. However, Anaheim Electronics lost to SNRI's F90 unit, which became the Federation standard. This is the beginning of Anaheim Electronics' downfall, as SNRI begins to get the limelight. Universal Century 120. 24 years have passed since the third Neo-Zeon War over a box that meant nothing because it is a prequel, and it has to be ignored for future things to come. But luckily, because of manga like this, we get to see the benefit of hindsight play out, similarly to what we see in 0083 Rebellion. Although small conflicts have broke out, the Earth sphere has experienced peace. But recently, there have been more Zeon remnant activity. Old Zeon mobile suits of the RF line, which takes the old one-year war mobile suits and refits them with modern engineering, have began to pop up. These are referred to as Oldsmobile. They stole one of the F90 units and adopted it to their needs. They were taken down with the help of the 13th Autonomous Fleet under the ship the Admiral Tiamin, and the Mars Zeon base was completely wiped out. This incident became known as the First Oldsmobile War. Go check out our coverage of F90 to see this war play out. UC 122. The Oldsmobiles begin a second attack. The 13th Autonomous Unit, now under the flagship the Abrams, was tasked to handle this situation. The pilot of F90 Unit 1 is now Ensign Berg Screg. We'll just ignore his last name. He was also in the video game Mobile Suit Gundam F91 Formula Report 122. Their ship was attacked as they departed from Side 4. Ensign Berg was able to defeat the Oldsmobiles. Later, the ensign talks to Abrams' chief mechanic, Lieutenant Junior Grade Braun Wooder, who tells the pilot about the 26 different mission packs, though they only have a handful on board the Abrams. Ensign Berg isn't intended to be the pilot of F90, but is assigned as a pilot until it gets delivered. However, he seems to be in love with the mobile suit. Every pilot experiences their first mobile suit love. Braun tells him that this Gundam has had the most pilots out of all the Gundams, which is why it could have so many mission packs. But because it has many pilots, as opposed to the typical one pilot, F90 has a lineage, and Berg is now a part of it. He tells him not to break the lineage by dying. Many people have come together to make this unit strong. Braun tells him of a story about a super secretive mission pack that was used in a similar incident like Berg just experienced. He calls it the Fastest Formula. UC 112. A young man has a vision of the darkness consuming him before he is saved by the light. Later, 2 heavy guns and a Rizal commander type are running training exercises. The RGZ-95C Rizal commander type, also known as the Rizal Type C, is a high-performance variant of the Rizal designated to commanders and veteran pilots. The original Rizal has a simplified OS to make transforming into Wave Rider form easy for rookies. This has been removed in this unit as a show of skill. If you're an ace pilot, you don't need it. You can notice the difference by the green sensors as opposed to the red sensors. Weapons include Vulcans, a mega machine cannon in the chest, a triple grenade rack on each side of the waist, and a beam saber. It also can be equipped with various backpacks. It also has a shield, a mega beam launcher, and a beam rifle. 2 heavy guns get the upper hand on the Rizal. The commander says the age of the giant overwhelming mobile suits is over. They move on to the next phase to test the F90 electronics type. The F90E Gundam F90 electronics type is an F90 mission pack designed for intelligence gathering. It has a large radome on its back extending its range. It also has various sensor jamming and electronic suppression tools to mess with radars in the area. With this mission pack, F90 goes ahead of the squad to scout out areas for its unit. It is equipped with a jamming rifle, a shield, a machine gun, and a shot lancer. That being said, when faced with the enemy, it is wise to retreat when using the E-Pack. The pilot of F90 Unit 2 is Patsy Angelica. She completes the test on the E-Type and asks test team staff to help Hayden how her son is doing. Liv Angelica is watching the test on board the Klopp-class ship. The directional rifle on the unit is powerful, though it does interfere with the radome. In UC-111, the process of miniaturization began. SNRI and F90 won the bid with the Federation, and in UC-112, testing began with Unit 2 and Unit 1. These tests are highly classified. Back on board, Patsy tells her son that he doesn't have to be so reserved. The mechanic team stops focusing on heavy guns and focuses on removing the F90 loadout. Help Hayden tells Patsy that the team tested out the S-Type recently, and now they have to test it out themselves. Also, the Help is named Help. They are heading to New York. You have to say it like a New Yorker in Universal Century. This seems to be Liv and Patsy's old home. The two look out at F90. 1 month later, they returned home, where they were able to sleep in their own bed for a change. A Garuda-class ship flies over, and an explosive goes off in the Catskills. Gustav Karls are working with Patsy in the S-Type. The F90S Gundam F90 support type is designed to act as a long-range fire support unit. It has a jack on its back which can stick into the ground to act as support for firing its heavy weapons. This unit's data will later be used to develop the F70 Cannon Gundam. Weapons include Vulcans, a Mega Beam Cannon, a 4-barrel beam cannon with a 2-tube missile pod, and cruiser missiles. Lodos are attacking. Some enemies are after the Gundam. Wouldn't be the first time. Help tells Liv to get into the shelter. Patsy wants full control to engage in combat. They unlock all the weapons for her. Help is going to get blamed for her actions. Liv and Patsy seem to have a connection with one another. Liv seems to bring Patsy great strength. She is able to tear through the Lodos and the enemies. Later, the news suspects that EFF was involved in the incident. Of course, they denied all claims to the media. Watching on the news is Randiger, Heavy Industry CEO, Oyer Randiger. Randiger is a third player in the mini mobile suit market, and they focus on handcrafted mobile suits. He is ready to be a true player in the marketplace. Randiger gives a keynote speech for their new Horus Middle mobile suits. After the conference, he wants to know his schedule, but not as the CEO. His assistant tells him that they are working towards an operation. He receives a photo of a mysterious mobile armor. Liv, Patsy, and Help enjoy the day off playing games and eating. Help tells them that their next test will take place in the safest place on Earth. 2 weeks later, around the Labrador Sea, they are in a Juno-class sub, the Rumblefish. Patsy launches in the M-Type. The F90M Gundam F90 Marine Type is an underwater mission pack with built-in thermonuclear hydrojets. It can reach a depth of 400 meters and travel at a max speed of 90 knots. Their mission packs are equipped with the Freezy Yard gel that was first seen on the GOG. This is a gelatinous goop that can be used to move underwater mines without setting them off. It is equipped with Vulcans, a homing torpedo, a 3-tube marine rocket pack, a heat combat knife, and a 6-tube arrow shooter. She dives down to 300 meters. The Juno gets a blip on the sonar, and they ignore it, thinking it is just a whale. Liv starts to get sick. Patsy begins testing the arrow shooter and water rockets. They pick up something on sonar again and ignore it, but Liv says they are wrong. That is when a megaparticle cannon goes off behind her. She barely avoids the blast. They stumble across a mobile armor. This is the Carcharius. The Carcharius is a transformable underwater mobile suit developed by Randiger Heavy Industries. However, this mobile suit is built almost entirely of standard parts of the time. It is capable of silent low-speed cruising and has treads that give it minimal mobility outside of the water. It has a 2-seat cockpit with the front pilot controlling movement with the gunner seated behind them. The silly shark eyes are functional camera sensors. Weapons include 6-claw arms with a megaparticle cannon and torpedoes. Help tells Liv to trust in her mother as she has full access to her armaments. The mobile armor is faster but lacks maneuverability. Pilot happens to be Randiger. He knows Patsy's name. The mobile suit transforms into mobile suit mode. Also, his assistant, whose name is Griselda, is also there. He fires torpedoes, and Griselda controls its homing features, which bite the enemy missiles before exploding. Patsy sends out countermeasures. It gets into close combat range, making F90 useless. However, she grabs an enemy missile and uses it like a bat, throwing it right into Randigar's face. The missile goes off, and the two make their escape. Randiger says their first battle was superb. Patsy has a feeling this won't be their last time they encounter that mobile suit. She tells Liv that he heard his voice while fighting. Meanwhile, an older Jobjon is looking over a new mission pack. He notes that the B-Team is constantly in the same situation Amara was back in the days of White Base and says this is fitting for a Gundam. Universal Century 122. The Abrams is attacked by Oldsmobiles. Part of the Oldsmobiles' forces is Lieutenant Commander Charles Rochester. He sends out his mobile suit forces to attack. JGUN pilot Lieutenant Albert Ayer notices that the Oldsmobiles have newer Gelgoogs. Warrant Officer Annafelt Marmoset is waiting for the F90 as they are outmatched. If you're watching our coverage of Gundam Pulitzer, we just learned of how the Oldsmobiles got their resources. Go give that a watch. RF Gelgoogs rush the ship as it is left defenseless. That is when the the Gundam comes in and swiftly takes them out. Rochester cackles and says we'll meet again like a cartoon villain before taking their leave. The Abrams crew isn't done just yet. They head to Side 1 Cologne Colony, where they continue their Oldsmobile mop-up. A hole is blown in the colony. The enemies don't have a problem using citizens as shields. They're attacked by what I believe is the RF Dom, but it has a spiked shoulder like a goof, so I assume it is some commander version. The two RF Zakus support him. That is when the Gundam comes in and takes out the three. F90 is rocking the destroyed loadout. The F90D destroyed type is a high-powered heavy weapons mission pack. Although it has bombardment armaments, it also has mid to short-range weapons. It is designed to drop heavy firepower from long range, then move in to short range for cleanup. Weapons include Vulcans, a beam saber, a 4-tube grenade rack, a 5-tube rocket pack, a mega Gatling gun, a beam rifle, and a shield. Berg is tired from the extensive mission and returns to the ship. They were able to capture the pilot of the commander unit. Annefeld has a small wound, but she is fine. They should probably get some rest, as their next mission is taking them to Earth. The prisoner doesn't have any information, and they aren't getting any closer to finding intel on Mars Xeon. But then the prisoner says that if you are using that Gundam, then you must be the group from the fastest formula. Braun wasn't lying when he said this to Berg. Everyone else is shocked by this response. It is clear that the Gundam is in different hands from back then. Suddenly, a group of G-men led by a familiar old man comes bursting in. The prisoner stares at him and says, "What are you going to do, break the Antarctic Treaty?" The old man proceeds to break the Antarctic Treaty by abusing the prisoner. This familiar old man happens to be Help Hayden, who is now following a lead on some intel regarding F90. He whispers in the prisoner's ears that his loose lips saved him. They proceed to take the prisoner into their custody. The Abrams crew just kinda lets this all go down. We head back to UC 112, Side 4, SNRI headquarters. Help Hayden is meeting with F90 development manager Jobjon in regards to the mysterious transformable underwater mobile suit they encountered. Of course, we know this is Randiger and Randiger Heavy Industries. Because the mobile suit was made with off-the-shelf parts, they aren't able to figure out the source. The standardization of parts allowed smaller companies to begin manufacturing mobile suits. No longer is it just the privileged few who were able to afford mining an asteroid, but that also means they aren't any closer to figuring out who this was. So Jobjon simply suggests letting them get attacked again. Job also mentions that it is almost time for that. He says not to be worried about her. Patsy Angelica prepares in what looks like an arena, more so than a military training center. Help thinks that Job is taking the testing too far, but Job reminds him that what they are testing are weapons. Patsy, in F90, walks up to her opponent, F89. The F89 Gundam F89 is a part of the Formula project designed to miniaturize mobile suits like F90. This unit stands at 18 meters tall as opposed to F90, which is 14 meters tall. They spared no expense, at least at the time of development, and because of that, it helped create F90. The hardpoints that are used in F90's mission packs evolved from this unit, and it has a rudimentary version of a mission pack-like hardpoint. This modular backpack only has two packs, a beam cannon type and a high mobility type. The high mobility type is the standard loadout for the unit, and the beam cannon type is the first iteration of what will become F91's VSBR type. Weapons include a beam saber, a beam rifle used by the Jake and B type, an axe rifle, a long-range beam cannon, and the Gustav Karl's shield. Patsy is in the F-type. The F90F fight type is a fighting-based mission pack. It adds additional subarms to the skirt's hardpoints. Its main addition is the arm fighting equipment, which is added to the forearm hardpoints. It generates 3 thin but powerful beams. The backpack has large thrusters to improve mobility. Gustav Karls surround them. The pilot of F89 is Gideon Blondie. If you are wondering, with a name like Blondie, certainly he is blonde, right? Nope, black hair. Liv is watching on from the command center. The battle begins. They go in for the melee attack. Gideon is a combat veteran and isn't going to lose to a test pilot. He is getting the upper hand, but Patsy uses one of the hidden subarms and turns it around. Job is explaining the importance of the Gundam lineage to help. Camille, Judo, and Banana all overcame strength greater than their own. He understands that new types are achieved under extreme circumstances. For him, he doesn't care if it is in battle or in training exercises. He believes it can be unlocked. Also, look at this picture of Camille. He looks like a beautiful lady. The artist did this intentionally. Good job, artist. The character designer on this is Sejum Kim. Good job, Sejum. F89 is bigger and stronger than F90. It grabs the Gundam by the jugular, crushing the Gundam's neck, damaging the sensors. F89 is still holding its beam saber with the other hand while attempting to do a choke slam. Patsy distracts Gideon while she uses her subarm to snatch his beam saber out of his hand. She swings it, but loses the beam saber in the process. The fight has been reduced to punching and kicking. Patsy is able to get a nice uppercut in, knocking F89 to the ground and winning the match. Gideon is a little spiteful, but the two shake hands. And maybe more, maybe more, maybe more. Help gets a call informing him that F90 was the winner. He is cautious around Jabjan now. He says that next time they meet, he hopes it is over something that puts a smile on their faces. This dude's like the Riddler now. Patsy introduces Liv to Gideon. He informs her that he, too, was attacked by a mobile suit that bit him, referring back when she was running tests underwater with the marine type. He asks if she could sense something. She doesn't think she has empathetic Newtype powers, but she could tell the pilot was obsessed with the Gundam. Side 6, the abandoned colonies. Neo-Zeon remnants are scouring the area for parts. We see various units we haven't broken down yet, so let's do it. The AMS-129 Girazulu Guards type was originally used for Full Frontal's elite guard units and is a simplified design and closer to the initial draft of the Girazulu. It is equipped with a beam gun, a Sturmfaust, hand grenades, a beam tomahawk, a Gyaradoga shield, and the large Bruno Plus used by the Gyaradoga heavy weapons type. One of the leaders is in a Zaku 3 Custom. The AMX-11S Zaku 3 Custom, also known as the Zaku 3 Kai, was originally piloted by Masha Marcello and later by Danton in Twilight Axis. Mashimer's unit had a different head, different Vulcans, custom knee pads, and much more. Weapons include 300mm Vulcans, a beam cannon, which doubles as a beam saber, a beam rifle, a beam machine gun, and the option rack shield. Some are paranoid as they have heard of multiple attacks going on in the area. One tells them to relax. Oh, you know what that means. They're going to die now. So anyways, they all die now. You never want to be the person who says relax. Always the final last words. They are attacked by the Tigress. The RDG-3 Tigress is designed and manufactured by Randiger Heavy Industries and is a handmade transformable mobile suit designed for space use. The screw apogees is a Randiger patent and controls the thruster jet's direction using Manowski electromagnetism. This one patent that they have will ultimately be the thing that outs them in the future. The legs contain these screw apogees which allow the unit to hover under gravity. It has a beam Gatling gun built into the mouth. The mobile suit bites down, trapping the unit, and instantly fires the Gatling gun. Other weapons are 12.7mm Vulcans and a beam saber. They tear through the Neo-Zeon mobile suits. Randiger allows one of the remnants to flee. It seems that their existence is going to be known soon. Dude likes mobile suits that bite down. Randiger asks his assistant Griselda rhetorically that he doesn't get drawn into war. He ponders this while getting drawn into war. Patsy is undergoing Federation medical examinations and left help in charge of Liv. He hates that his mom treats him like a child. It is almost dinner and the engineers haven't stopped to eat. He tells Liv to grab them so they could take a break. Randiger receives intel of the location of F90. Griselda wonders if they can handle F90 and all of their support units, but he tells her that he is sending in GBG. He says he is essentially putting everything into taking down the Gundam. If it doesn't work, he won't blame Griselda if she leaves him. Drama queen. While heading to the hangar, Gideon and other pilots talk about how Gideon should make the moves on Patsy. One guy thinks he won't because of her kid. Liv approaches the guy talking shit and tells him to say it to his face, but the guy is a coward and cops out, calling him a kid. This infuriates Liv. Liv heads into the hangar instead of telling the mechanics that dinner is ready. He lies and tells them to prep F90 for an unplanned test. Help is being yelled at on the radio as everyone is wondering why the F90 is launching. It is Liv. Help blames Gideon for antagonizing him. He says, what, it's not like he knows what he's doing. Help tells him that he does indeed know what he is doing and knows how to pilot. Liv heads out and just kind of vibes with the emptiness of space. I get it. Gideon goes out in F89 to help him, but he doesn't seem to need any help. He shuts off his radio so Liv and Gideon can talk privately. He sees how everyone treats him, so he says from now on, he will treat Liv like he is an adult. This cheers him up and the two head back to the ship. Liv says, what about my mom? Gideon says, dude, your mom's hot and everyone wants to fuck her, and let me tell you, I'm going to fuck her, and then... But then I'm gonna put my hand up... all of that shit and whatnot. Luckily, Liv doesn't know what most of those words mean. At SNRI headquarters, the F-70 is going through extensive training. The F-70 Cannon Gundam is a prototype support unit which adopts universal standard weapons used by the Federation, specifically the heavy guns, beam saber, and rifle. Its main weapons are the triple machine cannon mounted on the backpack, which can be replaced with a 150mm high-velocity cannon that fires shell rounds. This mobile suit can also use some of the F-90's mission packs. The deployment of this mobile suit remains hidden by SNRI until Anaheim Electronics announced their new G-Cam. Other weapons include Vulcans, a beam saber, a double beam gun, and a beam rifle used by F90. The test pilot happens to be Jobjon. Most don't get why he still does the grunt work. He tells his men when they are stuck trying to solve a problem, the best way to solve it is to simply get into the cockpit. He gets a call from a Professor Guggen Vigor. He tells him that they must wait until the final piece is in place. That final piece seems to be the N-type. He said that the Gundam attracts danger, but what Job didn't tell him is that it attracts special people. People like Liv. Universal Century 122. The Abrams captain, Waybull Gardner, meets up with the Oldsmobile Mop-Up Forces captain, Tellis Greenwell. Ensign Berg is being transferred along with the Gundam unbeknownst to him. He meets with Lieutenant Wilder Katz, who greets him but gives off an uninviting vibe. A girl tells him that he was supposed to be the Gundam pilot. A red alert goes off. The girl says her name is Anafel. She is a pilot but isn't going out in the first wave. Berg is told to get into the Gundam. He launches in the F90P type. The F90P Gundam F90 Plunge type is an F90 mission pack designed for atmospheric re-entry. This mode has a mobile suit mode along with a mobile armor mode. The mobile suit has a shield on its forearm. This is designed to protect the mobile suit during re-entry and provides lift to the unit as well as control surfaces for the flight. It has extra vernier thrusters as well. Weapons include a beam cannon and Vulcan guns. He begins tearing through the Oldsmobiles. Berg switches to mobile armor mode as he begins re-entry. On Earth, they meet up with the Garuda-class ship, the Guarish. Good to see the Garuda still in use. Berg never realized that there is a simulator built into the Gundam. He shows Wooder as he looks through battle data and scrolls past the Battle of Axis and the Battle of Hong Kong. This is what Wooder meant about the Gundam having a long-standing history. However, some data seems to have been deleted. Wooder thinks it may be data that someone kept secret. Berg thinks it was the previous F90 pilot. Universal Century 112. Liv is piloting the Gundam. He wants to prove himself. A Jeong with no legs goes after him. He is currently in the B-type. The F90B Gundam F90 Bombard type is a heavy bombardment type mission pack. This mobile suit can take down an entire base no problem. Movable thrusters are added to the unit to ensure it retains its mobility and speed. Weapons include a Vulcan gun, 2 large cannons on the backpack, an armed grenade launcher, missiles on the shoulders and legs, and a beam rifle. Help tells Liv to keep his distance, but he rushes in and crushes the Jeong's head. Of course, this was all a simulation. Help tells him that he fights suicidally like it is a game. He takes down the mobile suit, but doesn't consider that this fight is a part of a greater battle. This reckless approach will get you killed quickly. Help says he fights like Angelica. He is afraid of what will happen if Angelica finds out that he is letting him use the simulator. We cut to Angelica scolding Help for letting him train, as well as for taking F90 out in a joyride. He gets an urgent message. It is from Jobjam telling him to disband Team B. Patsy wonders if it is because of the incident with Liv, but it is something regarding a mission pack. Even he wasn't told too much intel on it, other than that it was called the N-type, or Next Type. Team B will be reassigned, and a new pilot will be selected to pilot the N-pack. However, Help knows that Jobjon wants to use Liv. He tries to beat around the bush by telling her to hang up the life of a test pilot and settle down with her son. He can't say the truth, so he does what every boomer does. In the conversation. If I don't engage with you, it doesn't exist. Jobjon has access to Liv's recent battle data from the simulator. He is reminded of another young boy who also had a certain amount of clairvoyance to him. He flashes back to the 1-year war. Jobjon tells Amado that he wished he was clairvoyant. Amado says that this is something you probably wouldn't want. He asks if it makes Newtypes unhappy. Amado ultimately doesn't know. Back at the present, Job looks at the data on Liv and promises to the boy that he won't make him unhappy. Final testing of F90 begins. Angelica is in the K-type. The F90K Gundam F90 Keep type is designed to last long on the battlefield. It has 3 I-field generators and a beam shield on the left arm, which can also be used as a melee weapon. This is a giant tank and relies on others for offensive capabilities. Besides the standard armaments, it also uses a mega beam bazooka used by the A-type. Patsy is in a good mood because Liv told him that he wants to grow up to be a pilot just like her. I think she probably already knew that based off of, your whole character. Meanwhile, on the outskirts, Randiger and Griselda are plotting an attack. He cries for those who are about to die. Tone it down, man. Way too dramatic. As F90 and the team are training, they are suddenly attacked. It is the Nouvelle Gem 3. The RGM-86R Nouvelle Gem 3 is a modified Gem 3 originally seen in Gundam Sentinel. It has added exhaust vents to accommodate for the bigger generator. It also has enhanced sensors and added Vulcans. This can hold up to the Barzum and has been modified to a point where it is considered what EFF was trying to do when mass-producing the Gundam Mark II. These eventually replaced the Nemo for the AUG, and the EFF also used this unit. This specific GBG variant has internal components found in the Jagan normal type. It was painted black for stealth purposes. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, the Mark II beam rifle, the Mark II shield, a missile pod, and a large missile launcher on the skirt. Liv can sense something ominous in regards to Liv's wingman Sierra. That is when the GM3 slices through her unit, killing Sierra. No, not Sierra. Who's Sierra? This is the GBG, or Gleam Black Guns team. Liv rushes to the hangar. There's one heavy gun left, and he wants to pilot it. Help thinks that they might as well use him, as Job is about to anyways. He heads to the hangar, but the ship is attacked. A hole almost sweeps Liv out into space. He grabs onto something quickly. The heavy gun is damaged, but he sees something under a tarp. Oh, Gundam protagonists love heavy machinery under tarps. It is the Hull Fighter. The Hull Fighter is a manned space fighter. When connected to F90, it becomes the N-Type mission pack. It is designed for the unit to be controlled by F90, but it can also be controlled from the Hull Fighter. Weapons include a machine cannon, a shield, and a beam cannon. It has other weapons once attached to F90. Angelica remembers a conversation with Sierra where she mentions a mysterious group called the Gleam Black Gun. She is fueled by anger. The Hull Fighter launches. Liv notes that it moves just like a mobile suit. As Patsy attacks GBG, Randiger joins the battle in the Tigress. Angelica notes that it is the mobile suit that bites. The GBG surrounds them. One of the mobile suits is the Full Armor Gem 3. The RGM-86R FA Full Armor Gem 3 is a modified Gem 3 with the armor of the Full Armor Gundam added to the unit and used by GBG. This turns a GM into a unit that can hold its own against a heavy gun. It is painted black like the other GBG units. Weapons include 16mm Vulcan guns, a 316mm rocket cannon, 6 missile bays, a twin beam rifle, a shield, and a beam saber. This was all a ploy for Randiger to fight against F90. Help tells Liv to back up his mother. He must return the Hull Fighter at all costs, meaning that he should play conservative, unlike what he did in the simulator. The Keep type doesn't have good offensive weapons, so Angelica takes the beam shield and wraps it around Griselda's Tigress. The beam shield splits the Tigress in half. Randiger is just watching, taking in all the data. He is treating this like a game and not a real battle. As the group continues fighting, Help tells Patsy that they will need to go through a 2-step process that requires rebooting the Gundam. She shoots at the Tigress and takes hiding, allowing Help to update the unit remotely. Oh my god, hurry up, progress bar. People's lives are on the line. The Tigress finds the Gundam and fires, but the update is complete and is able to dodge the attack. This update allowed the unit to go 3 times normal speed. Ooh, hiding hardware behind software updates? That's such a Mac thing to do. They continue fighting, but she still has to go through the second phase, docking with the Hull Fighter. She gives the Tigress a Char kick, but the Tigress bites down, holding on to the unit. Randiger tries to fire at point-blank range, but the Hull Fighter comes in and docks, turning it into the N-Type. The F90N, Gundam F90 Next Type, is a mission pack for F90 that allows the unit to use Psychoframe tech. The Gundam docks with the Hull Fighter to form the N-Type, which can be controlled by either the Hull Fighter cockpit or the F90's cockpit. This unit has 6 hilt funnels stored in the hilt of the beam rifle. This is used with the built-in neurocomputer, which, although not stated, most likely evolved from the biocomputer and not the Psychomu. This is where the CA3 pseudo-personality computer comes into play. Other weapons include Vulcans, a beam saber, a beam rifle, and a machine cannon. She no longer has control of the unit. Liv is controlling it. Liv says, "Don't touch my mommy!" UC-122. On Earth, Berg and the Garuda-class ship were attacked by the Oldsmobiles. Captain Gatos is in command of a Dobde-class ship. Berg is still getting used to the new team. He launches in the H-type. The F90H Gundam F90 Hover type is designed for hit-and-run attacks and is based off of the Dom. It could hover, allowing it to pick up speeds up to 480 kilometers per hour. The unit can only hover for 4 hours total. Weapons include Vulcans, a 4-tube missile pod, a 2-tube grenade pack, a shield, and a beam pistol. He makes it to the battlefield, but many of their men have gone down. F90 approaches at great speeds. Berg takes out the garrison and approaches the Dobde. The commander tries to shoot it with a gun. F90 fires, taking out the bridge of the Dobde. Their mission is complete. He heads back to the ship where he meets the mechanic, Julio Garay. He mentions that Unit 2 always got wrecked, so he expects the same from Unit 1. Help Hayden is in the hangar. Berg asks him about the fastest formula. Help approaches him and says if you mention that again, I will cut you. The captain of the ship, Layla Bias, tells him to knock it off. She helps Berg up. Liv has full control of F90. As Randiger continues fighting, he notices that the pilot completely changed from their earlier fight. Patsy doesn't have control of the unit. Liv lets her mom know that he is in the whole fighter. The Tigress can no longer get a hit on the Gundam. Liv fires and is able to take out the left arm on the Tigress. Patsy is amazed that her son is able to hold his own. Help mentions that with the help of the new OS, the N-Type draws out the power of its pilot. He also mentions he has never seen Liv like this before. Liv feels like his body is connected to the Gundam and that he could do anything now. Randiger starts to understand. This is a psycho machine. He puts it together and notes that it must be the fighter that attached to the back. As Randiger is monitoring this for data purposes, the presence of a potential psycho field taints the data. He decides to retreat, but Liv chases. He is shooting ahead of the Tigress as he knows his next move. Help realizes that he is toying with the enemy. Uh-oh, Liv got a little bit of taste of power, and he instantly abuses it. That's a red flag. Randiger can sense the overconfidence in the pilot. He rushes in, taking damage, but he gets in close to F90 and throws it to the ground. The Tigress transforms into a shark and tries to chomp down on the Gundam, but it suddenly moves. Patsy was able to regain control. She dodges and gets the Tigress in a chokehold. Liv is consumed with power and says that he must kill him. He activates the funnels. Gideon comes in with backup. They have him surrounded. Patsy gets out and goes to the whole fighter. That is when Griselda and her busted up Tigress come rushing in. Randiger tells her not to do it. She gets in close and self-destructs her Tigress. This causes the F90 to be destroyed. Hope sees that they lost signal with the Gundam. He can't believe this. Neither can Randiger, as he and the Gleam Black Guns make their escape. Everyone is in shock of the loss. At SNRI, Jobjon is informed of the loss of Liv. He mentions that he allowed the Psychomu to consume him. They plan on repairing Unit 2. They are also forming a special team called Fastest Formula. Gideon sees the remains of the Gundam and curses himself for not helping. 3 years later, UC-115, Earth Federation forces Aiden Base Spaceport. Gideon is now piloting the refurbished F90. He thinks back to Jobjon asking him to replace Patsy. They only need his help with the U-Type. Once in space, someone will take over. Job says there is a reason that it needs to be him. Gideon launches into space in the U-Type while thinking of Patsy and Liv. The F90U, Gundam F90 Uplift Type, is an F90 mission pack that allows the Gundam to leave Earth orbit. It attaches a giant booster pack. Since it is so big, it utilizes more hardpoints than the other packs. After leaving Earth orbit, the booster pack can be ejected. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, 2 beam sabers, a beam rifle with spare E-packs in the skirt, and a shield. Jobjon doesn't tell him the entire mission and keeps him in the dark. He makes it into space and dumps the U-pack. That is when he is contacted by the team that will receive the F90. However, Gideon will be staying and joining their team. She welcomes him to the fastest formula. Gideon spots a target coming towards him at great speeds. It happens to be the Whole Fighter. The Whole Fighter docks with F90, giving control to the Whole Fighter pilot. They head over to a transport ship where they find a remnant group. The pilot points the beam rifle, causing the remnants to attack first. He tears through the mobile suits with the hilt funnels. One mobile suit is immobilized, but he still decides to kill the pilot, showing no mercy. Their mission is complete. The Whole Fighter pilot introduces himself as Durr Rider. Gideon goes, "Nah man, you are definitely Liv." Durr says he doesn't know anything about that kid. They head back to their ship, which is a Space Art class ship, the Fair Lady. Gideon meets with Captain Randy Hawkins. The captain tells him that this is different from the previous test team. On paper, they are no different. They test different mission packs for F90, but in reality, they are a mop-up crew designed to eliminate any remaining remnant groups. Captain Hawkins wants Gideon to be the team's mobile suit commander. Durr meets with Hajime Tasker, where the two butt heads. Durr calls him by his first name instead of rank and family name. He gives off some creepy vibes and walks away. He goes to the bridge to meet with Ensign Usadai Amias, the operations specialist. Durr is a warrant officer. She gives him some F90 data to analyze. She also tells him to be civil and not to cause too much trouble with Gideon. Oh, what's going on here? How long has this sexual tension been going on? Gideon is arguing with Help, who is also a part of the team. He's mad that everything that happened 3 years ago was all a cover-up. He thought he was dead this whole time, but help continues, gaslighting him, stating that this is Durr and his identity is classified. That is when Durr comes into the hangar. Gideon walks over to him and gives him a hug. He doesn't really care what he chooses to go by. He is just glad he is alive. He says that he is here for him. I really wanted to bang your mom and I feel bad, so I'm kind of like a father to you now, I guess. The captain also assigned him to be Durr's guardian. He looks up and notices that they have his old F89 on board. He gets sentimental. Later, Durr thinks back to losing Patsy. That is when Usadai comes into his quarters. He says, your mommy may be gone, but this mommy is right here. He thinks back to when he was saved after the incident. A flashback, an erection, and a hint of Oedipus complex? This is like a full house right here. He wakes up to a young girl telling him that he still has a purpose to serve. She takes Liv to the hangar where they look up at a gem sniper custom. He wakes up from his dream. In the Fair Lady briefing room, the captain preps them on their next mission. There is an abandoned colony on Side 4 where some remnants are hiding out. Their mission is to wipe out any remnants who are hiding out there. Their team launches. Gideon pilots the F89. Hajime is piloting the F70 Cannon Gundam, and Durr is piloting the F90 NG type. The F90 NG type is the next type mission pack stacked with the Guards type. The F90G Gundam F90 Guards type is a mission pack designed for defense and escort missions. Its main addition is the multiple beam weapons on its right shoulder. It also has a large shield which covers its left side. He launches. The team heads to the colony where they are met with 16 units and gunners on the field. Hajime heads to infield. Durr is able to sense the enemy's attack. The Fair Lady makes contact. They are scissors. Gideon is able to clear out the mobile suits in S field, while Hajime takes care of N field. Meanwhile, Durr is surrounded by Bawoos. Inside his cockpit is the girl that he saw from his past. She says being surrounded is the best way to take your enemy all at once. This ghost girl also calls him Liv, not Durr. This gives him the energy to take down the Bawoos. Gideon is amazed by just how good Durr has gotten over the years. They note that they are picking up more enemies. Near the colony is a Queen Mansa, the giant mobile suit that was once piloted by Pudu 2. This mobile suit is almost 30 years old. It certainly couldn't keep up with their mobile suits. That was the final last words of Hajime as it blocks their attacks and moves with great speeds. Hajime is about to be crushed when Durr comes in and attacks. The G-type mission pack is perfect for this current situation. Help wonders if the captain knew that this second attack would happen. The Queen Mansa unleashes its 30 funnels and begins firing on fastest formula. Gideon notes the density of the attack and wonders if this is how people used to fight back in the day. It was. Psychopaths. Durr uses the Gundam's hilt funnels to counter the enemy's funnels. Flames erupt, but the Queen Mansa comes out of the flames completely unscathed. As it rushes Durr, he is able to see the pilot's memories. He sees a future of a teen boy who seems to be suffering the same fate as Marita Cruz or Angelo. This pilot only cares about staying alive. Durr rushes in and slices the head off the giant mobile suit. Gideon wants to bring the pilot back alive. Some go into the colony to sweep the area, but Gideon heads back to the ship. He heads to the bridge to demand from the captain to inform him and his team of the entire mission. He says he knew of the Queen Mansa's presence and didn't warn his team about the mobile suit, but for Captain Hawkins, he is just about the results. He eventually tells Gideon that the reason these mobile suits could stand their own in modern times is because they come from a new Zeon. He is of course referring to Mars Zeon. The captain tells him to put his faith in the fastest formula. The team inside the colony informs the bridge that everyone seemed to have cleared out, and the remaining remnants fled. They all return to the ship as their mission is complete. Meanwhile, a team of Ewak Jagans and a G Custom take out a fleeing transport ship. The RGM 111Y2 G Custom is a variant of the Proto Hardy Gun and is an Anaheim Electronics mobile suit developed under the Silhouette Formula project. AE couldn't keep up with SNRI, so they said screw it and started stealing designs. This incorporates the failed Drake's Mega Booster technology with SNRI's stolen tech. This is also used to help test the limits of the heavy gun frame. Despite its high mobility, G Custom's overall performance is actually lower than the Drag. These are also used to help further develop the Hardy Gun. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a Mega Machine cannon on the chest, a quadruple grenade rack, the Proto Hardy Gun beam saber, a double beam gun, a beam rifle, and much more. This happens to be a team from Anaheim Electronics. One of the pilots is a young girl. UC-115, the Space Arc refit, the Maglabra. The commander looks over the G-Custom. Ensign Arthur Knightley is talking to his commander, Lieutenant Veronica Vernon, of the Wajidai's Corps. They have been monitoring F90 recently. They are part of Anaheim Electronics' Silhouette Formula project and are tasked with stealing SNRI's engineering secrets. A Commander Rivera Amalgam comes in and yells at Veronica. She seems to not let it get to her. At SNRI's ship, Hajime feels like a sidekick to Durr as he gets all the glory. But Gideon tells him, "Hey man, we are Japanese. That's not the collectivist mindset. I mean, hey man, we're EFF. Actually, same thing, different group." But Hajime says he is the main character of this story. Unfortunately, he is not. He sees that Usadai is going into Durr's quarters. Hajime is like, "Aw man, he even gets all the mommies as well. It's not fair." Durr launches in the F90 NF type. The NF type is the combination of the N type and the fight type. The F90F Gundam F90 fight type is a short-range fighting type mission pack. Its main armament is the forearm-mounted arm fighting equipment, which generate needle-shaped beams when activated. It has a backpack with 2 large thrusters, giving it the mobility of a fighter. Besides the arm fighting equipment, it is equipped with a beam saber in each hand. The Wajidai Corps is spying on Durr and his new loadout as they do a rescue mission. A few days later, they monitor the MB type, which is the N type with the Bombard type. They are amazed by the power of this loadout. The N type Psychomu allows each attack to pinpoint the most critical spots on the enemy to optimize their bombardment. Veronica and Arthur talk about how even though the F90 was chosen by the Federation, it didn't win against the Dreg. It merely tied. She was the former pilot of the Dreg. Later they note that the new mobile suit pilot isn't testing today. Durr has some time off and he decides to spend his time with the Queen Mansa pilot. The mobile suit pilot he took down last episode is still alive. They seem to have a Newtype connection. Gideon in F90 and Hajime launch and attack 3 Nemos. Hajime gets cocky and rushes in, but the enemy gets the upper hand on his cannon Gundam. An unknown mobile suit comes out of nowhere and attacks him. The ship loses signal with Hajime. Durr consensus back on the ship. They finally get signal to find a hole right through the G-Cannon's cockpit. It was done by the Dreg. The MSA-120 Dreg is an Anaheim Electronics mobile suit that is based on the heavy gun. This competed against the F90 to be the next mobile suit for EFF. This was a simulated competition and the two tied, but the Federation went with SNRI's F90 over the Dreg. However, they did integrate features of the Dreg into the F91. It has the new vaporizing applique armor, which dissipates beam blasts instead of deflecting them. It also uses the high impact gun, which is a precision railgun. Other weapons include a hyper mega launcher and a beam saber. Veronica, spying on the team, is stunned to see Anaheim Electronics mobile suit here. Universal Century 122. Berg is taking out a Mars Xeon Zagok. The OM-SM-07RF Zagok is based off of Xeon's original Zagok. Its ground capabilities are also greatly improved, and in addition to better mobility on the ground, it also has enhanced firepower with the original Zagok's arm-mounted claws, being replaced by the heat claws with integrated beam cannons. Other weapons include 6 anti-ship missiles, a beam shower, which is like the scattering beam gun, and a beam cannon in the claws. He takes care of the Oldsmobile forces in the Pacific, and they are trying to head back into space and head to a Federation spaceport. Berg wonders where the V-Type mission pack is, but Helphaden comes in and tells him not to rely too much on the V-Type. He has something for him to use. As Berg listens to Help talk about the F90, he realizes that he really cares about the Gundam. Help is a dick to Berg. He is a dick in general during this time, so something went down in UC-115 that made him this way outside of just the loss of Patsy. In the sky, several Oldsmobiles are sliced in half. Above them is Berg and the Warbird type. The F90W Gundam F90 Warbird type is a transformable flight form mission pack. This has an experimental Manowski drive system with beam wings. In this form, the legs and arms function as the landing gear, so it typically remains in flight form and rarely transforms. He transforms from flight mode to mobile suit mode. He takes out the remaining Zagoks and helps his comrades. They complete their mission and head back to the Garuda. The shuttle takes off, but Lieutenant Wilder stays behind to prevent any remaining ships from attacking the shuttle launch. As they take off, Lieutenant Wilder is killed by a Danan Zan. Oh snap, we forgot to break this down during F91. The XM-01 Danan Zan is considered the first true mass-produced miniaturized mobile suit, though the Federation will claim it is the heavy gun. This is developed by Bucconcern to be used with the first generation of Crossbone Vanguard. This was a superior mobile suit until the war between the Federation and Crossbone Vanguard began, as this was designed for colony and urban invasions. The Shotlancer became a key player in combat and became a standard up until UC-153. The Shotlancer also has a machine gun. Other weapons include a beam saber, dual beam guns, and a beam shield/beam flag emitter. UC-115. The Dreg is keeping Gideon on the defensive. The mobile suit shoots down Ainsbury. No, not Ainsbury, not him. The Dreg's gun is something he hasn't seen before. He gets a sit rep on the high impact gun used by the Dreg that only the Dreg can handle. Gideon Gideon is able to dodge some attacks, and the Dreg pilot is impressed. Gideon fires, but his beams vaporize due to the vaporizing anti-beam coating. He can't get a hit on him, and it is like the pilot knew about the F90. He goes by the name Cipher. Durr wants to go out in a secret unit, but Help says it is just for testing. That is when Usadai pulls a gun on him. It doesn't faze him, and he says that mommy won't pull the trigger. He's taking therapy lessons from the Homelander School of Mental Health. Even the Queen Mansa pilot says that he shouldn't go out, but he goes anyways. Cipher takes out the F90's left arm. That is when Durr comes in with the new heavy gun full equipment type. The RGM-109 heavy gun full equipment type is a variant of the heavy gun with added mid-range support weapons. These can be purged during combat to become a regular heavy gun. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a beam saber, a quadruple grenade rack, a 9-tube missile launcher, a quad machine cannon, a double beam gun, a double beam cannon, and a short beam launcher. Cipher can sense that this is the F90's true pilot. Durr drops the missile pods around the Dread. He gets close, but the high-impact gun is pointed right at him. The gun is suddenly destroyed by a sniper. It is Veronica in the G Custom. Commander Rivera refuses to give Veronica any intel on the Dreg, so she treats it like an enemy until told otherwise. Malicious compliance, I like it. She even erases the log files so that no one knows this ever happened. Gideon goes to Durr, who is mad that he lost the battle. UC 0093. The Axis falls to Earth, and Amado prevents it from falling. Everyone comes to help. In Char's counterattack, the Lunar 2 fleet came to help Londo Bell, but were too late. It seems Jabjan was a part of that fleet. Boschweller comes to help out. Everyone wants to help Axis, but Amado pushes everyone away. That is when the Psycho Field emerges, and Axis is pushed away from the Earth. 22 years later, an older Jabjan meets with an older Boschweller. Bosch salutes him even though he is now in the public sector. Old habits die hard. He has found a candidate from the Instructor Corps. Job says that Amado, like this candidate, was a normal person. If it weren't for the circumstances of the 1-year war, he wouldn't have unlocked his new type potential. Side 2, Amelia Colony. The Rockhyloom class ship docks with the colony. Usadai tells the captain that they got word of a ship docking on the opposite side. Remember, both sides of an O'Neill colony have docks with a giant corridor in the center of the colony, which acts as a service tunnel. It happens to be Veronica and the Anaheim Electronics team. Also exploring the colony is Gideon. He meets with the Commander Lee, who explains to him why he was chosen for the fastest formula. They want him to command a new type corps, but he is just a simple old type. She lets Gideon know that Durr isn't the only new type that they are looking at. She shows him a list of other test subjects. One of them is Massimo Muerte, who happens to be their prisoner. They want to usher in a new era of new types, and says it is their responsibility now that Laplace's box has been opened. Bro, that was so long ago, no one cares. On TV, Houtsity Rona is trying to justify taxing the poor by claiming it is to help build Side 2. While everyone yells at the TV, Veronica reflects on the Dreg. The Dreg was supposed to be this generation's version of the Rick Diaz in terms of ingenuity. The first test pilot died during testing. Veronica became the pilot and lost to F90, and the project was buried. So why is it showing up? Once people find out she is from the moon, someone breaks a glass over her head. They went from 0 to 10 real fast. Remind me not to visit Side 2. Also in the bar happens to be Durr. Wait, how old is he? Why is he in a bar? The two of them flee. Everywhere around the colony has Rona propaganda. They stop in an alleyway where they introduce one another. Veronica says he has pretty eyes. He wants to get her to the hospital. Durr gives her his coat to wear. As they walk, they notice a Zaku 2. They are still in use for random mobile worker purposes. In this case, as a delivery vehicle for Anaheim Electronics. But something isn't right. If they were mobile workers, they wouldn't be heading in that direction. He thinks it might be Oldsmobiles. He puts one guard in a headlock to find that he had G3 gas grenades on him. These are definitely terrorists. He tells her to head back as he won't be able to escort her. He lets her know that he is the Gundam pilot, not realizing that she is a competitor. Why'd you even mention anything? This isn't a small terrorist attack. This seems like a full-on operation based on the men they have. He knocks out another man and takes the Zaku. He finds out there are 4 other active mobile suits in the area. Durr sends the team a message. It seems like they are after the ship. They wonder where Gideon is. He happens to be stuck in traffic inside the colony. The captain wonders what they have up their sleeves. One of the Xeon remnants, Kitchener, is ready to take down the Federation and seems to have bloodlust. He mentions an interplanetary mobile armor. Durr notes that the Oldsmobiles are on par with the Jagan. He is still able to take out all but an RF Gyan. That is when a giant beam blast hits the Rockhyloom class port side. It happens to be a Jimru fan with an additional booster added. The captain says to release him as they don't have Durr right now. As Durr takes on the mobile suit, the F89 comes out to help. It happens to be piloted by the prisoner, Mizma. Meanwhile, back on Veronica's Space Ark ship, she has been given orders not to intervene. Berg is drinking with some of the mechanics. One shows him a spoon, then tells him about an Epilogue car he just bought for his wife, both made by Anaheim Electronics. Their name still holds weight in this world, but Berg is currently working for their competitor, SNRI. They squabble about which corporation is better. They then talk about rumors of the Gundam development project and a Gundam that could carry a nuke. Of course, they are talking about Operation Stardust, but this does raise an interesting question to Berg. Does SNRI not want to call F90 a Gundam because of the Anaheim Electronics stink that they put on the name? That isn't necessarily the case, however. From Zeta Gundam to EFF's Odysseus Gundam that went up against Mafty's rebellion, the Gundam is more of a representation of the best when it comes to the engineering of that generation. AE just happens to have a monopoly when it comes to this. Ever since EFF desired smaller mobile suits, SNRI has the opportunity to become the dominant player. The heavy gun didn't meet Federation standards. They all get really drunk and hype themselves up as SNRI mechanics who won the bid against Anaheim Electronics. The chief tells him to stop putting pressure on Berg. The next day he approaches an enemy using the new beam shield. He launches in the V-type. The F90V Gundam F90 VSBR type attaches 2 variable speed beam rifles. The backpack has a built-in sub-generator that powers the VSBR along with the beam shield. It has the heat radiation fins, which we will see improved variants on F91. The V-type mission pack is considered the prototype to the F91, as the F91 is all about the VSBR. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a Mega Gatling gun on the forearm, and a beam saber. Misma Muerte launches an F89. The Space Ark class ship, the Fair Lady, evades the Jamru fin. It has speed but lacks acceleration. They try to throw the Jamru fin off balance. The Space Ark fires the Megaparticle gun, but this Jamru fin happens to have an eye field. The ship knows Durr is in the RF Zaku. The Jamru fin notices him approaching the ship and begins attacking. Durr is able to dodge a beam blast, but wasn't expecting a missile to explode next to him. That is when Gideon in the Ba Jim and Commander Lee in the Lear Doga join the battle. The RGM-87C BRGM, pronounced Ba Jim, is a mobile suit built off of the Jagan normal type parts. The original Bajim was first seen and under the Gundam Double Fake. This is the evolution of the Barzam line. The CR type was used by Burnham and the Rona family in UC 0099 when these mobile suits were first rolled out. Weapons include a beam rifle and a beam saber. Also, Bajin sounds like a Japanese guy trying to say virgin. I'm calling this unit the Virgin now. The AMS-119S Gyaradoga Kai Lear Doga is a variant of the Gyaradoga Kai that was modified by the Buick Junk Company. This was never developed officially because this is property of Anaheim Electronics, so they sent their lawyers to Buick's doors. This also caused EFF to not want to go near it, even though these are great training units. This is a Gyaradoga with Jagan parts added in the legs, which mimics characteristics of the Dovin Wolf and the Zaku 3 philosophy of thick thighs. Some units are equipped with the Incom Quasi Psychomu and Subarm. Weapons include a shield, a beam sword axe, hand grenades, the Jagan beam rifle, the Gem 3 beam rifle, a clay bazooka, and much more. This is a very versatile unit when it comes to weapons. They are riding the Type 89 base jabber. Gideon tells Durr that they have something waiting for him on the mobile suit deck of the Fair Lady. They will handle this situation. They release a dispersal screen, but the Jamru Fen uses a mega particle cannon, so you know he is serious. Kitchener fires, but a beam blast with a stronger output disperses his beam blast. It is Durr and the V-type. With the VSBR rifle, he's even got that slider interface. When I slide this to the right, people melt faster. He is able to penetrate the Jamru Fin's eye field. An unknown beam comes from the distance. It happens to be Cipher and the Dreg. Kitchener doesn't want help from an EGUM member. EGUM is an AUG splinter group that chose not to integrate back into the Federation after many fled to Londo Bell. They eventually integrate into Char's Neo Zeon. This all comes from High Streamer, one of the many variants that becomes Char's counterattack. I believe this is the first mention of EGUM outside of the light novel, which is interesting. We've only made reference to it once, I think. He says that he and his men need to stop fighting for nothing and join Char. He convinces him to retreat, but Durr fires the VSBR at the Drake. It only takes out one of the mobile suit's arms. He decides to put his faith in EGUM for now. We learn that Cypher's real name is Yuri. Durr is ready to chase him, but Gideon tells him that he did his job of protecting the Fair Lady. They head back to the ship. Veronica, who still just watches, says that she may have to step in next time. This was the last big event of the year for the Fair Lady crew. It is now UC-116. Butte Concern gained notoriety by starting as a debris retrieval service. and slowly expanded in the military and civilian sectors. Scharnhorst amassed so much wealth that by UC 0068, he was able to purchase the European royal name Rona. His son, Ingeist Rona, was a part of the Federation Central Assembly and eventually became a cabinet member. In UC 0096, Meitzer Rona became head of the family after their father passed. Hautity is slowly gaining prominence as a member of the Federation Security Council. Ingeist also became vice president of the Colony Public Corporation. Remember, Mafty was fighting to prevent the Federation from opening the floodgates for immigration back to Earth. That failed and immigration began, but it were the elite like Hautity Rona who pushed for forced migration to the colonies, the opposite of the Federation. This led them to getting the appeal of the people. Meitzer would soon form his own army, known as Crossbone Vanguard. He would also form a mercenary group called Burnham. We see Burnham in action in Twilight Axis, and we saw Crossbone Vanguard's rise in Mobile Suit Gundam F91. He gave this power to his son-in-law, Kurozo Rona, who would later go on to be Iron Mask. At Side 1 Londinian, Kurozo is meeting with Hautity regarding the F90 VSBR. It is so impressive that the Federation might be going into mass production. Of course, this would go on to be the F91. Hautity also mentions that he leaked intel regarding the Danon-type mobile suit to both SNRI and Anaheim Electronics. They want to allow SNRI and EA to waste money on R&D while they sit back and rake in all the data. He is planning on meeting with SNRI's Jupiter division. One of the representatives happens to be a young Fonz Kagati. He will go on to represent Zanskar in the future. Hautity tells him that even the Manhunters are interested in being potential buyers. He tells Kurozo not to worry and that he is a part of the family. He leaves to discuss a marriage between a Jupiter family and the Briette family. This is referring to the marriage of Crux Dogati, who will go on to create Tetaneth, aka Bernadette. Meanwhile, an Anaheim representative has declined a meeting with Jupiter or the Rona family. As he looks up, a television is showing a woman preaching the gospel of Newtypes and how they are vessels to help humanity accept the afterlife. It was only a matter of time till we see a religion around Newtypes pop up. It's a nice little touch, and sad. This guy doesn't buy Newtypes. The captain of the Fairchild is introduced to Baz Gellamson. He has been assigned for a cleanup mission on Luna 2 on their new Rockhyloon-class ship, the Ajax. Gideon is introducing new members of the fastest formula, Ensign Kanata Sawame, Lieutenant Junior Grade Fauna Brigand, who will act as the leader of the Rizal team, and finally Baz Gellamson, formerly of the 106th Guardian Squad. Mizma seems to fear his name. These three are Newtype qualifiers. They are doing training exercises with the 4th Aggressor Unit. Lieutenant Junior Grade Lydia Dorfman has been assigned to the team on a special mission from the General Staff Headquarters. The captain has been informed that the Aggressor Unit has been substituted for an Instructor Corps. Baz complains about which mobile suit he should use. He wants to use the new F80, but it has been delayed. For the first time, Durr meets Jobjan. He says that this team has been chosen specifically by SNRI and Hautity Rona. He has high hopes for them. They head out. Durr is in a normal F90 with no mission pack. Baz is piloting the F-71. Mizma is using a heavy gun full equipment type. Kanata is in an F-71 with the machine cannon loadout. And finally, Gideon is in the F-89 commander spec. They launch riding the Rizal team. Remember, the Rizals can be used as subflight systems. Jobjan tells Bosch Roller that the AI of the F-90 units are hard to replicate. As they talk, the test begins. The team thinks they're going up against a heavy gun too. However, they are met with a new model. This is the Proto Hardy Gun. The RGM 111Y Proto Hardy Gun is made by Anaheim Electronics Granada branch and a part of the Silhouette project. It continues the Heavy Gun 2 line with improved battle data from spying on F90. The operating system seems to be lacking, however. This contributes to the development of the Hardy Gun. Weapons include head Vulcans, a mega machine cannon on the chest, a quadruple grenade rack, a beam saber, and a double beam gun. It also could use the heavy gun beam rifle and a beam lance. Jobjan talks of Carl Spitz, who was a Jagan pilot during Char's Rebellion. They protected the Luna 2 fleet. They then talk about the former Drag pilot, Veronica Vermillion. She is a part of this test. Commander Wable is the observing officer of the test. They begin. One Hardy Gun jumps towards Gideon and goes into action. The Rizal squad pulls back. This new unit is on a different level compared to the heavy gun. Jobjan believes that Anaheim Electronics changed the mock battle so they could get more battle data, which is also why the F90 is being delayed. They most likely bribed the commander. Jobjan knows of this unit and they are planning on releasing a Hardy Gun soon. He reminds Bosch that the Granada branch of AE is the living embodiment of the former Zionic. Veronica and Durr begin fighting when Baz comes in like a maniac. He works together with Durr and they fight back to back. Veronica wonders what the Federation is gearing up to fight. The mock battle goes to the fastest formula. Looking out at the battle is Charles Rochester. If this guy looks familiar, he is one of the Marzion commanders that Berg and his team in the future are dealing with. He is also a character in the game Mobile Suit Gundam F91 Formula Report 122. 3 days after the mock battle, Charles Rochester meets up with his close friend Kanata, who is a pilot with the fastest Formula team. Charles came to see Kanata off. He wants her to find out intel regarding the F90 and the pilot, but she isn't any closer to understanding either. She and the Ajax departs. Later, they take out a Zeon remnant group turned drug smugglers. Oz is tired of the low and low mix. A high and low mix is a military strategy in the real world that focuses on combining a small amount of high-end units with a large amount of low-end units. We see this in Universal Century pre-UC100. Gems and mass production models paired with a Gundam used to be Federation standard. But over the past 30 years, they are left with outdated Jagans and mediocre heavy guns. They discuss Buick's new Desa-type. The Desa-type, unofficially known as the Danan Worker, was developed by Buick Aerodynamics. The construction of this was used to buy parts from Anaheim Electronics. Although pitched as a mobile worker, this was actually the testbed for the Danan line of mobile suits. We know that the Desa is the basis for the Danan type of mobile suits from Buick, but here it seems as though it was created in conjunction with AE and Yashima Heavy Industries. Mizma tells Durr that Boz is known as Annihilator Gelumson. He is notorious in the mercenary world. Mommy Ursai, along with Mommy number 2, Queen Lee Xiaomei, are spying on Durr. They notice that he is starting to open up to people. He is acting his true self. While these two mommies do stuff, they say that he represents the light of Cosmo Cruz. I highly recommend you read Tomino's notes to Hasegawa when writing Crossbone Gundam. If you read Crossbone Gundam, Rona has a philosophy of not killing their enemies. Though not mentioned in the manga and only these production notes, Rona follows the philosophy of Cosmo Cruz. While help is ordering the mechanics around, Jabjan shows up. Ajax Captain Randy is talking to Hatsuri Rona regarding their captured Zaku that Durr took. On the inside, this thing is barely a Zaku. Many of the parts resemble the Carcharius from Randiger Heavy Industries. With the blueprints, any car manufacturing plant can develop these mobile suits. This is perfect for small-scale terrorists. The captain wonders if the Zaku is created by the same person involved with the heavy mobile armor construction plan. They are to act as a decoy with the Gundam. The team launches. Queen Lee is in the ST gun, Gideon in the F89 with the chaser equipment, and Durr is in the F90 prototype Manowski drive test equipment. This is tested using the Warbird type, which we see Berg use in the future. Baz is mad that they get a Manowski drive before the F80s. Dude can't let it go. He explains Manowski tech. On this channel, I always refer to the force field of a Manowski drive as an invisible pillow. This invisible pillow is apparently called the Manowski repulsor field. One of the technicians mentioned that this was used to propel weapons at higher speeds, but now they are using it for interstellar travel. This SNRI technician happens to be Otis Arkins. He is one of the old men in Victory Gundam who helped the League and the Kemyon. He says it will probably be another 20 years until we see this put to practical use. In 20 years, we just so happen to see the Mother Vanguard in action. They sync the CA3 pseudo-personality computer with the Manowski drive. Durr activates the drive and goes insane speeds, but suddenly the unit starts losing control. Gideon tries to decelerate the unit, but it doesn't work. For the first time in Universal Century, the Manowski drive disperses particles and creates the phenomenon, the Wings of Light. Suddenly, an explosion goes off and the Wings of Light disappear. They lose contact with F90 and F89. Gideon wakes up. He was unconscious. He calls out for Liv. Durr's alive and says, "That isn't my name." His body is in a lot of pain. Gideon's long-range comms still work, but they seem to have flung themselves on the far side of the moon, where comms have always been a little spotty. Gideon hangs out in Durr's cockpit while they wait for someone. He says, "Since we are out here, you might as well tell me what happened 4 years ago." Durr says after the events, he came too. He was on a colony simply called the Base. They then took him to Earth to a hidden village that belonged to GBG. This is where he met Matrika Vicara. She says she is the pilot who fought against him. A man comes up behind her and says she is right. This is the leader of Gleam Black Guns, Kubera Vicara. He wants to know of his mother. but they never found her or the Gundam. Out of anger, he goes to punch Kubera, but he doesn't skip Ab Day. Kubera calls him Bagatshur, which seems to be a Turkish and Mongolian word for honorable warrior. But Durr says, "Kill me, you coward." They walk away. The Gleam Black Guns have been living illegally on Earth since the 1-year war. They take on various jobs to survive. During the Grips conflict and the first Neo-Zeon War, they were contractors for Kuraba. Once Kubera became their leader, they started taking on more corporate jobs to survive. Durr started working with GBG with the intention of one day joining them, but there hasn't really been any wars since Char's rebellion. This is just a false war propped up to justify the Federation's budget during peacetime. He doesn't tell Matrika his name, so she decides to call him Durr Rider after her favorite movie. I assume this is a Kamen Rider reference, but I'm not sure. GBG taught him how to live, and in many ways were his family. But that all changed 2 years ago. They went on a mission through the new Side 6 Shoal Zone. Their client for this mission is Anaheim Electronics. Ever since the Laplace incident, the Federation has been distancing themselves from the company. They are hoping that AE will designate their hidden village as a special district so they can live on Earth forever. Something attacks from behind. He happens to encounter the mobile suit that took down his mother, a Tigress. This is known as the Tigress Do. The OMS 1004 Tigress 2, pronounced Do, is a mass-produced transformable mobile suit that the Zeon Remnant Group Legacy reverse-engineered the original Tigress from Randiger Heavy Industries. They also reverse-engineered a Manowski fusion reactor from Anaheim Electronics, as well as sensors from the James gun. Like the predecessor, it has a mobile armor and can bite off its opponents. Weapons include 12.7mm Vulcans, a beam saber, a 3-barrel Gatling gun, and a beam machine gun. Durr is in a Gem Sniper GBG spec. The RGM-79SC Gem Sniper Custom GBG spec is modified with contemporary parts, putting it on par with the heavy gun. Durr's unit also has the addition of a missile launcher on the left shoulder, a beam pistol, and an extra beam saber. In a fit of rage, he rushes in. In the sniper unit, I know you're mad, but think for a second. I guess it doesn't matter because Durr and the team are able to overwhelm the unit. However, there seems to be more than just one. The team is overwhelmed. He watches as the entire GBG team is killed one by one. He even watches Matrika get killed. In the present, he then wakes up in a hospital. Next to him is Hatsuri Rona. They are in Frontier 1 on the new Side 4. They rushed him here while he was unconscious. Hatsuri says that Newtypes aren't meant to be tools for destroying one another. This is a famous Amado Ray quote. Durr doesn't seem to know who he is. Hatsuri seems to be an Amado Ray fanboy. The Ajax picked up Gideon and Durr, but SNRI sent him to the SNRI psych facility to get treated. Boz thinks this is a Newtype Labs. Even if it isn't, the Federation tends to treat Newtypes as people with psychic powers. Hatsuri and Durr go for a drive. He tells him that, like many people that night, he too saw the Axis glow. Wait, are they trying to suggest that this little kid right here at the end of Char's counterattack is Hatsuri Rona? Everyone who saw Axis sensed a connection that day. It seems that he is chasing that dragon. Amada Ray believed that old types can achieve a new type state if they put their minds to it. Durr thinks he is talking like a crazy religious person, but he wants to put his faith into new types. If they could help everyone become one big family, then Zeon's war for independence wasn't in vain. He tells him to look at the document on the dashboard. Omer Fang, Jobjon, and Otis are going over the Manowski drive data. This acceleration with the Manowski drive will outdo the Dreg. These bros don't even know that this will eventually go to Jupiter in less than a week. It's all about the little steps. They are going to use what they learned in F91. It is just up to Dr. Monica Arno and her biocomputer. Go check out yesterday's video on F91 Prequel, which dives into Dr. Arno. As they continue talking, Help Hayden runs in and punches Jobjon in the face. He says that he doesn't care about the pilots and just cares about machine specs. Inside the envelope contains the Zionist report by Oi Nyung. Oi will go on to join the League. Don't lose your head, bro. He seems to be a friend of Hatsuri. This is a list of people who will never let the idea of Zeon independence die. Many terrorist organizations are on this list. One is NSP, or the New Summer Project. This is not the old NSP seen in the UC-90s during Under the Gundam Double Fake. These were the terrorists that Durr encountered in Amelia Colony. Another group is EGUM. We mentioned that EGUM was former anti-Federation freedom fighters that didn't reintegrate with the Federation. Here we are seeing a retcon. They are now a faction that rejected the Zombies alliance with a full frontal and the sleeves. Or perhaps this is a separate group also going by Egum. This was the team that killed Hajime and Ainsbury. Another team is the Golden Eagles. They are pirates working under Monahan Bakuro, which is interesting because he is rumored to have supplied the DNA to create full frontal. So he has 2 Zeon factions under his wing. This is the Zeon Remnant faction that Mizma comes from. The Pan-African Liberation Alliance is a mix of pro-Zeon Karaba forces and Titans remnants that advocate for a free Africa. This is also likely the evolution of the African Independence Front seen in Double Zeta that had the same goal. Remember the Blue Corps? Next is Ru Ravata. This is a team of illegals who have assassinated 3 ministers in the past 5 years. This team is similar in many ways to GBG, and Durr says he fought against them. On the last page is a man named Ryan Dragon. This was one of Haman Khan's right-hand men and connected to 3 of the terrorist groups previously mentioned. He was the one who was in charge of the takeover of Dakar under Haman's ruling. He did this through vile bloodshed. He calls his new remnant group the Legacy. While Ajax is trying to dock with Frontier 1, a ship approaches. It is the Manhunters. Still alive and kicking 11 years after Mafdi's rebellion, Durr thinks that Legacy is the ones who took his mom. At that moment, he gets a Newtype flash. They are already here. RF Zakus begin attacking Frontier 1, 7 years before Cosmo Babylonia. The Oldsmobiles make their presence known. Oldsmobiles destroy the urban landscape of Frontier 1. One young woman is thrown back by an explosion and witnesses a boy getting crushed by rubble. This is Nana Tachibana. She is a protagonist in Mobile Suit Gundam UC Climax, both the video game and the manga. Outside the colony, Gideon and the fastest formula prep for battle. They are informed of the colony being attacked by mobile suits similar to what they saw in Amelia colony. He wonders if they are targeting SNRI. The F90 and F89 are undergoing repairs. Gideon heads out in a Rizal commander type. The fastest formula launches to save Durr, who is currently on the colony. Fons Kagati is in a Bolanoke Saman, while Cipher is in a Dreg. They are testing the biosensor. The Dreg doesn't have the biosensor, but the G-Custom, which is the mobile suit this evolves into, does have a biosensor. This is a modified prototype unit different from the version Veronica once piloted. It is apparently referred to as the Active Dreg. Fons mentions that he respects Sirocco, as it seems his Jupiter fleet is the predecessor of the Man from Jupiter. Nana meets up with her brother, Shun Tachibana, also a character in UC Climax. They run to the shelters. Hatsuri asks Durr if he really wants to fight. He wonders if he is driven by revenge. Unlike Jobjan, he admits that he has taken advantage of children and regrets it. The Rona family has a sense of honor and puts everything on the table before asking one to commit to a cause. He asks again if he wants to pilot the Gundam. He says he doesn't know. He is driven to find out more about the Zeon Remnant Group Legacy. That much is true. But it isn't just that. He told his mother that he would become an ace pilot, and he won't break that promise. He acknowledges that he is naturally talented, but he is no ace. Gideon is an ace pilot. He does recognize that he can help when he is in the Gundam, and that is what he wants. That is all Hatsuri needs to hear. He gives SNRI a call. This colony is under command of Kamuna Tachibana, Shun and Nana's father. Usurai is looking at the whole fighter. Omer Fang is holding back Jobjan, who is trying to get into the F90 Unit 3. Next to the Gundam is the frame of F91. He is going to pilot F90 to protect the new Gundam frame. A car explodes, sending them flying. They stand up to find Hatsuri, who brought them fresh young blood to pilot the Gundam. Don't break a hip, Jobjan. Actually, he's only in his 60s. He should be fine. Fons is using the Bolanoke Saman to hack into Frontier 1's systems. They learn that there happens to be a Gundam located on this colony. Hatsuri informs them that this unit has a different AI system. This is the KB AI system. Remember, Unit 1's AI is built off of Amado's personality, Unit 2 is based off of Char, and Unit 3, Camille. He says that this machine feels angry, just like him. Yeah, that tracks. Lieutenant Kitchener and his remnant group break into the colony. He is piloting a Comfer. The OMS-18 ERF RF Comfer actually has an RF Zaku movable frame on the inside. This also has a quasi-Seikomu system, and the Incom system we saw on the Gundam Mark II and the Rosen Zulu. This is a bit-like weapon that uses the quasi-Seikomu, which allows non-new types to control it. This unit can hold its own against F90. Other weapons include a beam saber, a shotgun, a Sturmfaust, a 3-tube missile pod, and the triple heat wire. They want to use this opportunity to take out the Gundam. They go in to attack the SNRI base, but one of the RF Galgoogs explodes. as Nana runs away. She senses that someone is very angry. Durr's in the R-Type mission pack. The F90R, Gundam F90 Reconnaissance Type, is a reconnaissance-based mission pack for F90. It has stealth armor and added optical sensors. The optical camera gun unit is mounted on the forearms. This is a wire-guided camera that can be shot and retracted. It also stores dummy balloons. Other weapons include Vulcan guns, 2 beam sabers, and some mines. Durr tells Gideon and the team to fall back. The mission pack allowed him to hide from the enemy on radars. He adjusts for the forces within the colony and fires his sniper rifle. His beam blast bends and it hits a Galgoon, taking out another Oldsmobile. Kitchener didn't expect SNRI to be prepared. He closes the gap and engages in melee combat. Fonz and Cipher are monitoring the F90's fight. Cipher mentions that this is a return to what mobile suits should be. Because the mission packs, the mobile suit can focus on making a lightweight, simple design, while taking the excess of the mobile suit and adding it to a mission pack. He says it's a shame that he won't be around for this VSBR they are designing. Cipher says that they could steal it and open source it to the world. Technology has become stagnant and they want to spice things up. This suggests that Jupiter is the big player. In the F91 prequel, the Rona family got a hold of these trade secrets and shared them with the world. This suggests that Jupiter is the one actually pulling the strings. They also plan on sharing all this data with Crux Dogati. So this is how Jovian mobile suits got VSBR tech. Cipher says this is just the first episode for the Gundam. Little does Cipher know we are already on episode 8 of this coverage. Keep up, dude. Kitchener and Durr go head on. The Comfort uses the INCOM system to control its heat wire bits. It begins shocking Durr. They are trying to kill the pilot. Help Hayden wonders if they know about the F90's AI system. He purges the R-Type's armor, but Kitchener is able to control the bits and continues shocking him. While fighting, he thinks of Matruka, the GBG girl he witnessed die. That is when the Whole Fighter comes in and assists Durr. It happens to be Usadai. She attaches to the F90, giving him Psychomu powers. His Newtype senses are stronger, and the Comfort's quasi-Psychomu is no match. Durr overpowers the wired bits. He takes down the Comfort. Comfort gets out of the Gundam holding a mini-nuke. These are used mainly for mining asteroids. They seem very convenient for terrorism, too. He rushes towards SNRI. Durr gets out and chases. Kitchener runs into Cipher. He asks for his help, but Cipher instantly shoots him. He can't have Kitchener running their plans, which seems to be having Houtsity Rona alive. He shoots him in the head and finishes him off. Durr runs up behind Cipher and tells him to drop the gun. His real name is Yuri Manowski, and he was the former pilot of F90 from Jupiter's SNRI. He remembers that name from the Anaheim SNRI competition from years earlier. He tells Durr that he is an ally. He realizes that this is the pilot of the Drag, the pilot that killed Hajime and Ainsbury. Cipher opens the hatch out into space and jumps out without a normal suit. But Fonz Kagati's Bolanok Saman grabs him swiftly. He gets into the drag and they take their leave. While this is all going down, of course, Veronica and the Silhouette Formula team is watching. This is the second time the Dreg showed up during the recon missions. Something sinister is going on that she doesn't know about. In the past, Ensign Rivera was at the Battle of Axis during Char's Rebellion. He witnessed the Axis glow. He wakes up having bad dreams of the past. Oh, this is the pompous commander that talks shit to Veronica. I guess since he realized that he wasn't the hero of the Federation and just middle management, he became a dick. 1 week after the attack of the Oldsmobiles, many have died and people are picking up the pieces while others lose families and probably lose hope. There is no security footage of Yuri Manowski in the colony, but there are log files that suggest someone tampered with video footage. They were able to get into the colony because of the Bolanok Saman. This mobile suit can conceal its identity and cover its tracks. They think it was designed by Sirocco to help with his takeover of the Earth Federation. They need to track down the Dreg, as it will lead them to more answers. Veronica also has the same idea. She does some research. The Dreg is based off of the Heavy Gun 2, which had a designation of RGM-1092 before it was renamed RGM-111X. The Dreg also has its roots in the RX-110 as well, which all data about this unit in UC-116 doesn't exist anymore. However, not the RX-110 Gab fleet. This is a 5th generation mobile suit. We will learn that the Dreg was also designed to be a miniature version of Penelope, which is what this is referencing. This other division that is fighting against the fastest formula is what she is calling the secret formula. I don't know if this is related to the manga with the same name. I should cover that sometime. The 2 remaining units are in the hands of Anaheim Electronics. She mentioned 2 were destroyed while being transported, and EFF blamed AE Vice President Lau's death on space debris, which caused a lot of tension. It was rumored that there was a forbidden psychoframe on board. Vice President Lau was originally against the formation of the Silhouette Formula. After he died, that is when they got funding. They have to bail quickly. The commander is onto their spying and is out to get them. Veronica and Arthur steal the G Customs and take off. Commander Rivera gets a call. It happens to be a younger Professor Karis. This will be Tobias' professor turned villain in Crossbone Gundam. It seems the Wajirai's Corps is working with the Jupiter Empire. Karis tells him that Veronica's actions are all by design. Specifically, he says it is an internal matter. Veronica plans on meeting with a contact, but they are running out of propellant. A beam blast comes barreling in. They barely dodge the attack. It is an Ewak Jagan. It happens to be Rivera himself. He is a skilled pilot and is constantly closing the gap between the 2 units. He hasn't lost his touch since Char's rebellion. Rivera says that a Newtype, let alone a woman, ain't got nothing on him. Rivera goes in for the kill when he is attacked in the shoulder. It happens to be another Drake, the unit that was said to be lost. Seeing this unit makes Rivera think that Lau's faction still exists. The fastest formula comes in and tells them to stop all activity. Veronica and the Dreg pilot takes off. Durr didn't feel any malice coming from the mobile suit. Kanata writes to Charles Rochester. It has been 4 years since they departed from Mars. Most Spacenoids don't have Earth on their mind. It is no longer the days of the poor and working class being pushed into the colonies. They have a thriving middle class. Most problems seem to be colonial disputes with no involvement of Earth. She thinks the days of Xeon are gone. She has also chosen to be a Gundam pilot. The alarms go off on the Ajax. In the briefing room, Gideon tells the team of the mayor's ties to former AUG and corruption in the Public Colony Corporation created a riot with mobile suits. This is typically a job for the police, but it seems they are trying to resell it to the Jupiter Development Corporation, which is then funneling the mobile suits into the frontier colonies. When the colonists have attacks on air and water, unlike on Earth, you're damn right they're going to want to know where their money goes. This will just start another riot in the frontier colonies. Their job is to get ahead of it. Li Xiaomei says that something seems off about the AUG rioters. They assembled far too quickly and might be co-opted. Durr is being sent out in the E-Type. At Side 1, Colony 107, known as Barat, a scouting team is taken out by the fastest formula. Durr uses the E-Type to break into the colony. They enter to find that the colony is polluted. The Public Colony Corporation controls the pollution levels of every colony. Clearly, some will take money and look the other way. A Sturm Dias and other mobile suits approach the team. The Sturm Dias uses a clay bazooka on Kanata's Gundam. They are willing to use high-powered ballistics within the colony. Kanata is piloting F90 Unit 2 with the T-Type mission pack. The F90T Gundam F90 Tracer Type is a defensive mission pack for F90. This adds large shields on each shoulder and a long-range propulsion backpack. The shields have anti-beam coating. They also contain a double-beam gun. Other weapons include a beam saber, a beam rifle, and Vulcan guns. Weapons are stored on the weapons rack on the skirt. Kanata tells the team that she will hold these units off while the rest heads towards City Hall. She activates the CA personality computer and goes 3 times normal speed. Kanata takes down the Sturm Dias and the remaining team. She apologizes as these people are former AU who once fought alongside the Gundam, but she wants to use this Gundam to put an end to these remnants. Gideon was able to secure City Hall. Durr was using the E-Type to monitor outside the colony. The Gideon tells him to come inside. Their leader ended up taking his life. They happen to have a Tigress too. The E-Type cracks into the Tigress, but they wiped everything before taking their life. Durr is able to recover some files. He is shocked by the data he recovers. It is a photo of Machuca and a dataset regarding the biocomputer. At the Federation Assembly, Hautsuri gives a speech calling out the carelessness of the handling of illegal immigration on Earth, as many still don't have basic human rights. He tells them to pull themselves up by their very expensive bootstraps. Hautsuri takes the Hathaway approach in that he believes that humanity must atone for their sins and emigrate to the colonies. He finds the privileged class to be a burden to the system. Luckily, with their advancement in VSBR tech, they can move forward with the Vanguard and Trimey. More on this soon. In the past, in Von Braun City, Misma is meeting with Rivera. He is selling operational data of the F90 and F91. In exchange, he knows Kuroto is the one providing Paz with his paycheck. Rivera also has intel on the Yuri Manowski project. A part of this is Cipher, Durr, and Patsy. This is the enemy Misma needs to take out. We see the Trimey being built. Meanwhile, the Anaheim Electronics Livermore plant. Durr will be the one to test out the Tigers too. Li Xiaomei says that this is an advanced version of what took down Patsy 4 years ago. Most of the parts adhere to a universal standard, but it isn't AE's work. It has some influence of the Gaza line of mobile suits from Axis, mainly the transformable frame. It seems similar to what Randiger Heavy Industries had on display 5 years ago. They wonder if they are intertwined in some kind of conspiracy. However, they can't think of the mobile suit now, as they just get word that Trimey is being intercepted by the Legacy fleet. They assume they are there to take out the satellite or assassinate the VIPs. Hatsudi Ronin happens to be visiting. The Ajax sets out from the moon to meet up with the Legacy fleet to intercept the Trimey. So what is the Trimey? This asteroid was built to intercept asteroid threats coming towards the Earth. However, if rebel forces get a hold of it, it can be used as a weapon against Earth. They can allow this power to fall into the hands of the Legacy fleet. Meanwhile, a team of Jagans near the Earth sphere is taken out by Cipher and the Drake. Captain Troa, Trivaldio, and Egum are ready to uphold the legacy of Shar Aznable. Sturm Diaz's and Nemos begin attacking. Ajax gets word that the Legacy fleet surrounded Trimey. There was a patrol force, but the Egum forces took them out near the agricultural satellite Mistletoe. They seem to be aware of the Ajax's movement, so they will have to intercept Egum before reaching Trimey. Two remnant groups with different ideologies are coming together. Gideon tells Durr that he has to come back alive because he has a gift for him, something that was left by his mom. He says, "Yeah man, I totally banged your mom back in the day." Kanata makes fun of Durr, teasing him by repeating Gideon's words but offering her a body instead of mommy gifts. Near Earth is Egum's flagship, the Cavendish. I appreciate them keeping the Irish class names with the ish naming convention. Trivaldio preps her fleet for the fastest formula. The Ajax team switches the Hull Fighter to Hull Blaster mode. The Hull Blaster is the Hull Fighter that utilizes the VSBR from the V-Type mission pack. Giving this a VSBR makes the fighter powerful without even combining with the Gundam. When combined with the F90, it becomes the NV-Type. While prepping for launch, Durr thinks about Veronica. Durr takes off in the NV-Type. A few hours before Egum and Fastest Formula make contact, Legacy Commander Rain Dragoon is meeting with Kurozo Rona. Haman definitely wore it better. They are on the colony Oakleaf, which is in a zebra zone on the far side of the moon. Kurozo is representing Meitzer in this meeting. He doesn't approve of Hatsudi's methods. Currently, his method of handling things in the shadows resemble in many ways the disappearance of many Russians during the Bolshevik Revolution and the Civil War that followed. Even Meitzer is opposed to Hatsudi's methods. He just likes to dabble in genocide, but you never go full genocide. He says sometimes they have to sever ties with family to ensure the survival of the human race. After the meeting, Kurozo talks to his subordinate Gillette, who tells him about their plans to take out the Zeon remnants. He thinks that they are expendable, but Kurozo wants them to integrate into Crossbone Vanguard if possible. Egum engages with the fastest formula. They are Daikun loyalists and spout the words of Zeon Daikun. Commander Trivaldio tells Cipher that he and Fons Kagati should retreat as they have to handle Trimey. She continues fighting on and pushes forward suicidally. The port side of the Ajax gets hit. The captain isn't changing course, however, and even though their mobile suits are old, Fastest Formula is vastly outnumbered. He is relying on Durr to handle the situation. Durr sets his VSBR to max output and fires on a Salamis Kai-class ship, taking it out. Gideon uses this opportunity to push forward. Little by little, Egum's mobile suits and cruisers go down. The Cavendish takes critical damage. Trivaldio wonders if a young boy like Camille is piloting this Gundam. She thinks back to Char's ideals that she's so believed in. At a certain point, she started realizing that Char, or no one leader, is going to give them salvation. They must fight for it themselves. There are Nemos missing arms and legs, unable to fight, but they still push forward, even though Fastest Formula has no chance of losing against them. Egum's sheer confidence in their final moments scare them. Even in death, they have been unfazed. Durr eventually ends it and takes out Trivaldio's flagship, killing her in the process. The Ajax captain notices their bravery and shows respect to the enemy, but it is short-lived as they keep moving forward towards Trimey. Durr says this whole experience was sad. As he and Misma head back to the ship, Durr is shot. It was a Sturm Diaz barely hanging on to life. In that moment, Durr hears Matrika's voice. An EGUM group calling themselves Nouveau EGUM has seized control of a nuclear power plant on the moon. The Pan-African Liberation has control of the African nuclear arsenal. Other remnant groups are taking over Side 1, Ravada, along with Side 3, led by the Republic Liberation Front. We meet Anaheim Electronics Agent Argentum. I wonder who this is. She is talking to Veronica about the power of Rhine Dragoon. She is lending the Dreg to Veronica. One thing to note is that the Dreg isn't the mobile suit's real name. It was the name given by the creator of the mobile suit. The real name is Active. It is Veronica who gives it the name Active Dreg. Durr is passed out. He doesn't have any injuries. He's just in a coma from shock. Gideon says that there will be many remnant forces in between them and the Trimey. The Dreg will most likely be there as well. The N-type mission pack is specifically designed for Durr, so Kanata can't use it. Gideon's F89 is getting a loadout that can take on the Dreg. Kanata is going to get a special pack for Fleet Assault. Mizma and Baz are going to support the Gundam, opening up a path to the Trimey. Kanata thinks back to a call with Bosch Weller and Charles. They are all working within EFF for the sake of Marzion. We assume this, but this is the first time someone said it out loud. Bosch says that Charles and Kanata are the next generation and must bring change. Kanata doesn't have an answer to what it means to be a Newtype, but she knows she doesn't want the fastest formula to get her. She believes the Gundam will lead her to an answer. They prep for battle. Helphaden tells Kanata that they created a combination of the plunge type and the VSBR type called the PV type. This variant equips VSBRs to the atmospheric re-entry mission pack. The plunge pack is light on weapons, but with a VSBR, it makes it a deadly mobile suit with the speed of a mobile armor. Earlier, we saw Mizma sneaking around Baz. He knows of Mizma's sneaking. Baz says he doesn't kill for no reason and is looking for a reason to kill him. Gideon's F89 is the F89 final equipment type. This adds 2 rail cannons like the ones used by the land combat type Jim. It also equips a pair of missile pods used on the Jagan B type and a missile container. Cipher's Dreg monitors space when Gideon comes in with the rail cannon. The two whip out their beam sabers to see whose is bigger. While this is happening, Rain Dragoon's Guadon-class ship approaches Trimey. His mobile armor's biocomputer is synced and good to go. He launches the Gremlin 2 and the Neo Psychomu. Controlling this biocomputer system happens to be Matrika. Things are getting hot at Trimey. They want to get Houtsity out of there, but he is going to stay. He reflects on the 110 years of Universal Century and space expansion. It has remained stale, and even Xeon's cause is tainted in blood. He recognizes humanity will self-destruct. Houtsity believes they could lead them into a new age of Universal Century. While in a coma, Durr can sense everyone on the battlefield. He could even sense Matrika. He wakes up. A giant mobile armor in the distance fires. It is the RF Gremlin 2. The OMA 05 2 RFN RF Gremlin 2 is an improved version of the Gremlin that is 200 meters in length. The bridge doubles as an escape pod. It also has an I-field generator on both sides of the mobile armor. This is the size of a battleship despite being classified as a mobile armor. Weapons include a hyper-mega particle cannon, a scattering beam cannon, a beam deflection cannon, 120mm anti-aircraft guns, a rail cannon, and micro-missiles, instead of the attack pod like the Gremlin. This has the chilled bits, which equip a drum funnel, tentacle bits, and a large beam saber. This also has a biocomputer. On the other side of the Trimey, Gideon is fighting Cipher, who teases him for being out of his league. Cipher proceeds to tear his F89 apart. The fastest formula breaks through the defensive line. The Ajax is informed of the Gremlin. They are in awe of the mobile suit's size. Everyone has their hands tied. That is when Durr comes to the bridge. He is ready to go out. Kanata is currently in the PV type. The captain thinks he probably shouldn't go out in his condition, but it's not like they have any other option. Helphaden comes to the bridge and tells him that there is a unit he could use. He shows Durr the FF type. This is the combination of the N, G, V, and W type mission packs. It is the culmination of Help's work on the F90 over the years, while Help is telling Durr everything. The kid laughs and tells the old man he really does love the F90. This is exactly what Berg will say to Help in the future. But for Help, it isn't about the Gundam. It was always ensuring that he and his mother were happy. Durr informs his teammates that he is rejoining the front line. He's going to help buy some time and pick off their fleet. Kanata will focus on the Gromlin. The Legacy fleet notices that they have another pilot up their sleeve, so they launch their Tigresses. Durr doesn't have time to deal with each Tigress individually. He thinks back to help, telling him about using the Manowski drive in short bursts, so he doesn't accidentally fly out into space like last time. The AI will help him. He is still using the KB AI. He just speeds past the Tigress mobile suits and begins taking out the fleet ships, which I believe are Guadons and Indras. Durr is using a multiple beam weapon from the G-Type for the captain of one of these Legacy ships. It reminds him of the infamous White Devil. A part of the Trimey Defense Force is Charles Rochester. Durr comes to back them up. Kanata is still fighting the Gromlin. Durr is attacked by homing missiles. It is Cipher. The Gundam attacks the Drake. We flash back to UC-0099 on the eve of Zeon finally relinquishing its power as stated in the Granada Treaty. Experimentation took place. It was a joint operation between the Rona family, the Jupiter fleet, and the Public Colony Corporation. Waiting for natural selection to naturally make new types will take forever, so they are putting it in their own hands. They selected new type women with already gifted abilities, and then artificially inseminated them with genes that will produce new types. Wouldn't this still be just a cyber new type, just at the fertilization stage? Children born of this process were named after the father of Universal Century, Yuri Manowski. Not only named, but the genetic basis for the project. In the present, Yuri explains that they are both Yuri Manowski and that they come from the first batch. They are brothers, so to speak. He thinks that he has killed Gideon. Durr tries to zip off using the Manowski drive, but it isn't working properly. He says that the Yuri Manowski project was interrupted by an accident. However, they still must carry out the ideals of the project. Durr is gravely offended as he thinks back to everyone who died in the past. He says how dare he think of these people's lives as ideals. He goes in to attack with a multiple beam weapon. He believes that war breeds new types, and he wants to eliminate both the Federation and Zeon. He is merely using Houtsity and Rain Dragoon for his ultimate needs. He says that he should join him and Angelica Patsy, his mother. Durr begins losing it at his mother's name. The Ajax captain wonders if it is a psycho hack. Unlike Yuri, he is the true Manowski, as Durr had a loving mother. Misma heads out to help with Cipher. He reminds Durr that he is here for Matrica. He tries to buy him time. The Gromlin's funnels take down Misma in the heavy gun. That is when Durr hears a voice on the comms. It is Gideon in his half-destroyed F89. The Trimey prepares its VSBR. They probably have less than 60 seconds before it fires. The captain is out of ideas, but Gideon says they have one. Gideon begins fighting Cipher. He buys some time. They head towards the Trimey. Rain Dragoon is mad that Cipher is failing. The two rush in and fire on the mobile armor, taking out the starboard side. Now's the time. The fastest formula must break through their defensive line. Misma survived the attack from earlier, but his mobile suit is out of the battle. Durr goes to Gideon's cockpit, and he isn't looking good. He gives him the gift he wanted to give Durr. It is a holodisc. His DNA opens it, revealing Patsy. After she was orphaned due to Char's rebellion, she was taken to a research facility where he was born. 4 years later, terrorists attacked the facility. She fled with Durr and stumbled onto a terrorist that took the Manhunter's looks. He doesn't want to kill a child, so he looks the other way. She bought the name Angelica and became a test pilot. The rest is history. Meanwhile, on a ship nearby happens to be Patsy. She is alive and greatly scarred. Gideon mentions that he wanted to be a father to him, but he failed at that and being a test pilot. His hero has always been Amida Ray, but he says that Durr is his hero. He is the ace pilot he always wanted to be. Throughout this manga, Durr refused to believe he is an ace. Until this moment, Gideon slowly passes away. He cries out for a surrogate dad. The ace pilot meets up with Misma. The N-Type mission pack is shot and he won't be able to control it. Misma suggests that he pilot the N-Type while Durr takes control of the other mission packs. He also knows information regarding the Manowski project. He shows that Houtsity Rona is also a Yuri Manowski baby. Then what's up with the age difference? Never mind, I'll ignore it. He doesn't care of his past anymore. Durr is now guided by his mom and dad. He is no longer lost. Misma and Durr head out in the F90. Cipher is taking care of the defense force when F90 comes in and attacks. The biocomputer is back online. It was the Gromlin that was doing the biohacking. They're going to try to retake the Trimey. Rain Dragoon wants to remake Side 3 in line with the treaty that Haman Khan signed during the First Neo-Zeon War. Oh buddy, Side 3 has moved on since then. This is a losing battle. Poor bastard. Kanata sees that Durr is back on the battlefield, and it gives them a second wind. She continues fighting the Gromlin. The Dreg and Gundam clash. Durr uses the Manowski drive twice in a row and slices off the Dreg's left leg. Cipher doesn't understand why he doesn't want to join him as his brother. It has been 20 years since Laplace's box has been opened, and people still aren't learning from the past. Earth is opening up immigration once again, as seen in Hathaway. But the colonies are also expanding. The frontier colonies will soon bring in more people, with an estimated 20 billion more on the horizon. Both Spacenoids and Earthnoids are cannibalizing themselves and setting up for a future of fighting wars over resources. Durr doesn't like Cipher's superiority. Creating chaos while getting Xeon remnant groups to kill each other isn't the path forward for him. That is when Misma interjects. He says that he has been doing some digging. Cipher has his hands in Egum, Jupiter, SNRI, and Legacy. But his true allegiances lie with Burnham Wood. This is the secret group that does the dark bidding of Scharnhorst Rona, and the Rona family in general. If you follow our coverage of Twilight Axis, teams like the Mastema team work under Burnham and the Rona family. Cipher tells Misma to shut his drug-addled mouth. It's not the best shit-talking, but it is a solid diss to a cyber Newtype. I'll give him that. He fires missiles at the back of the Gundam where Misma and the N-Type mission pack are located. It didn't hit his cockpit. He says that Newtypes are destined to rule this world. We flash back to Help once again explaining the dreg to Durr. He says that it is nothing more than a dragon and man slays dragons. He tells him to have confidence in the Gundam. Durr and Misma coordinate an attack. They work together to dodge funnel attacks. The two mobile suits resort to beam sabers. Hautari is watching the battle, and he realizes that Cipher was unable to bring Durr to Rona's side. Bosch Weller comes in and tells him that there is an opportunity to flee, but Hautari isn't going anywhere. This is where things get interesting. UC-112, Mars. The elders of Marzion want to send the Newtypes to the Earth sphere for a special mission. Kanata and Charles are amongst the children. They will be escorted by Bosch Weller. Above them is an old Zabi family portrait. UC-116. Charles is in the Lear Doga helping out Kanata, who is focusing her attention on the Gromlin. Kanata wonders if Xeonism will die off in this world. Even if Mars Xeon is successful, what it means to be Xeon is no longer what it once was. Well, one thing is clear to Kanata. Newtypes aren't just tools for war. She fires a VSBR and takes out the left thruster and eye field on the Gromlin. Rain Dragoon curses Hautari and fires the remaining turrets. Kanata gets in close. She needs to make her next shot count. Meanwhile, Fayona's Roselle team and Baz and the G-Cannon are still helping out as well. The Gromlin is focusing too much attention on the Gundams, leaving them open to Baz and Fayona. They take out the turrets. All that remains on the Gromlin is the hacking systems and the drum funnels. They also call in a reserve Tigris team. Rain Dragoon activates Matrika. Durr and Cipher are still fighting. Durr believes that a world built on the sacrifices of the dead isn't right. Cipher's mobile suit is falling apart, while F90 is still holding strong. Cipher thinks Durr is starting to become desperate. The drum funnels have been destroyed and most of the child bits are gone. They haven't received a response from the Tigris team. That is because they have already been destroyed. It is Veronica and the active Drake. She takes out one last Tigris before continuing her search for Durr. Durr activates the Manowski drive. He is able to continuously fire it off, reaching insane speeds without slowing down. Cipher fires the high-impact gun, but Durr deflects it. Misma undocks and the whole blaster from the Gundam as F90 rushes in. He fires the VSBR, getting a hit on the Dreg's left side, and then kicks the unit. The Manowski drive is overloading. Cipher is still trying to get him on his side even though he is losing, and Durr's convictions are strong. He pulls out his beam saber and says, "Bitch, we the fastest formula," and he slices the Dreg in half. The Legacy fleet is down to 30%, but Rain isn't finished until the Trimey fires. The Gundam and whole blaster finally makes it to the Trimey with the rest of the team. Rain was informed that the enemy forces would spread out, but it was concentrated and the enemy was an elite force. It appears that Hautari set him up from the beginning. He tells the remaining fleet to escape while the Gromlin tries to take on Hautari. They activate Matrika and the biocomputer. They try to jack the turrets to kill those on board Trimey. F90 comes rushing in and tears through the nose of the Gromlin. He pulls out a pod containing Matrika, and Durr tells Kanata to fire. In the distance, F90 Unit 2 takes aim and fires the VSBR, destroying the Gromlin and killing Rain. The remaining Legacy fleet retreats. Their mission is complete, as Charles and Kanata are secretly Mars Xeon. They wonder if taking out fellow Xeon remnants were the right thing to do. He hopes they all could come together one day. Durr leaves Matrica in the hands of the crew while he takes care of one more thing. Durr enters Trimey and approaches Hout City. He has a question about him and the Rona family. He wants to know their connection with Yuri Manowski. He wants to know who he is referring to, as they all are Yuri Manowski clones. He wants to know about Cipher, the Drake pilot. Hout City beats around the bush, but Durr demands an answer and wants to know if he was also responsible for the attack on Side 1. He believes that he was trying to make both him and Cipher into pawns for the Rona family. Hout City calls Durr by his real name Liv and says that yes, the Rona family is responsible for the conflict as well as his progenation. Usadai tells Xiaomei that Durr hasn't returned. They are mooring with the giant laser on the outside while Durr handles business on the inside. Boz gets a call on a secret line. It is Kuroto Rona. Hout City wanted a show of force to demonstrate the need to use the Trimey. He needed to manipulate both Xi'an and the Federation. In order to welcome in the future, he needs to get rid of the past. In the end, he believes sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Durr repeats what he said to Cipher about how this isn't the path forward. Hout City thinks back to the day he saw the cosmic glow and nothing was done about it. He knew after no change was made, the future must be reformed with bloodshed. The self-cannibalization of humanity by maintaining the status quo is the world's greatest threat in Hout City's eyes. Rona asks him once again if he will join him, but he already knows Durr's answer. He would rather die in an unforeseeable future than see one built out of despair. Durr believes Hout City is a threat to humanity. Hout City says that he must have good parents. Suddenly, the room vibrates. This distracts Durr while allowing Hout City to escape. He tells Bosch that Durr has mutinied. Durr tells Mizma to search for Hout City on the outside, but he tells him to get out of there. The Ajax crew doesn't know what is controlling the Trimey. It suddenly begins moving and breaking apart. Veronica makes it to the battlefield finally, but she is intercepted by Rivera Amalgam and the other Wajidai Corps members. They are piloting the Hardigun Night Raid. The RGM 1111 Type NR Hardigun Night Raid is a night combat variant of the Hardigun, similar to the old Gem Nightseeker. It has various sensors that have been appropriated from the F92 long-range type. It has a backpack similar to F90's Assault type and aerodynamic controls found on the Plunge type, similar to the Gem Nightseeker's ability to drop from low Earth orbit with the quickness. This was a covert ops unit needed in a time of Marzion remnants. Weapons include Vulcan guns, 2 mega machine cannons in the forearms, 4 beam cannons, 2 machine cannons, and a 4-barrel motor cannon. It also has a long beam machine gun, a short barrel beam rifle, and a shield. This also has a Manowski flight unit. Durr gets into his Gundam. In the chaos, he runs into Baz Gellemson. He plans on bringing in Durr. He tells him not to listen to Hout City, but he isn't. This is an order from Kuroto. The two begin fighting. He blames Baz for knowing this plan from the beginning. Baz says that he actually just learned everything. He says, "You made a mistake, kid. I actually like this." The fact that a few will die for the greater good in the future doesn't bother him one bit, which is rare for someone who is considered a Newtype. To him, Newtypes are tools, and he is using his skills as leverage. He saw the Newtypes of the past. These selfless Newtypes of old were all manipulated and used as a propaganda tool only to be buried by the Federation. This isn't going to happen to Baz. Mizma helps out in the whole blaster. There is a system in place on the Trimey where the giant VSBR will detach from the rest of the satellite during emergencies. Durr's unit has been spotted by the Ajax. That is when Durr realizes that the Trimey has the wrecked Gromlin. They're going to set off its fusion reactor. Mizma says he will handle Baz while he handles the reactor. He coughs up blood and seems critically injured. The two begin fighting. As Hout City flees, he can't deny that Durr exhibits the same quality as the Newtype heroes of the past. The Newtype finds the Gromlin. He doesn't feel any life coming from the giant ship. But then he could sense someone. Charles tells Kanata not to go into the Trimey falling apart, but she says she didn't come all the way from Mars to abandon a Newtype. Fiona is trying to find her crew. She thinks something is off. Veronica is able to fend off some of the Hardigun night raids, but she can't fend off Rivera. She is going to have to retreat. That is when Lieutenant Junior Grade Lydia Dorfman pulls out a gun on the Ajax captain. Now that we have covered Silhouette Formula and reached this point, we can point out that she is indeed that Lydia. She says that Durr is a mutineer and her orders come from Hout City. Silhouette Project represent, bitches! Suddenly, a megaparticle cannon emits from inside the Trimey. It must be Durr. Inside, he is fighting the bridge of the Gromlin connected to the Trimey. On the bridge happens to be Cipher. He is alive. Meanwhile, Misma is beat up and losing the fight. He rushes in and fires the VSBR. An explosion erupts, taking out Misma and Boz. Except we know that Boz lives on, unfortunately. Cipher calls his comrades Philistines, and the two continue fighting. The Ajax captain continues forward with a gun pointed at his head. Before Misma died, he sent a psychic message saying he left something for Durr. It is the hilt funnels. Hatsuri also gave him a Psychomu link. With this, Durr can control the hilt funnels without the Hull Blaster's Psychomu. The funnels overwhelm Cipher and finally kill him. Hatsuri reflects on Yuri Manowski, who was a good ally, though he calls Cipher an early model of the Manowski project. Suddenly, Trimey begins moving. Durr is trying to dismantle it, allowing it to break up into Earth's atmosphere. Kanata helps out Durr. She fires off her VSBR, tearing it apart. The Gromlin hijack the Trimey's controls. Durr is using his KB biocomputer to hack into the Gromlin, giving him access to both. He purges compartments of the Trimey, making it easier for Kanata to vaporize it. The Ajax captain tells the Rizal team to launch and help out. I guess Dorfman got distracted by the Trimey and forgot she was taking over the ship. Mommy Usadai thinks to herself that Durr is a man now, and he doesn't need her mommy milkers no more. Help Hayden wonders why this happens to Durr and his family. He wants Durr to have a normal life, while helping him fight the hypocrisy of man. Hatsuri is being held by a mobile suit piloted by Bosch. He wants him to get closer, but they can't without dying themselves. Bosch is sad at the loss of Kanata. Durr reaches out on the comms. Hatsuri tells him that he wins. They can't fire the Trimey anymore and to stop. He says he won't allow someone to sacrifice the present for someone's potential future. This is what makes a Newtype a Newtype. He tells Kanata to get out of here, but she is sticking with him. In that moment, she also tells him that she is Zeon. He says to tell him more if the two happen to survive. He asks F90 to lend him power. In UC-116, a satellite burned up in Earth's atmosphere and created a giant glow in space. As of UC-122, the Federation still has no official stance on the situation. Go figure. UC-116, Hatsuri reintroduces the Earth Preservation Act. This would put a lockdown on Earth immigration once again. 2 years later, in UC-118, Hatsuri Rona is assassinated. In UC-120, F90 Unit 2 was stolen. And in UC-120, the Oldsmobile Wars begin. We now return to UC-122. Berg in the F90 is fighting against the disguised Danan Zans. He and the crew are getting emergency repairs after almost losing their lives on the battlefield. Help Hayden finally tells Berg about the fastest formula. Unit 3 was found in Africa, and Unit 2 was found in lunar orbit. Because of Durr, the fastest formula disbanded. Hatsuri was assassinated and all records were scrubbed by the Federation. Help mentions Unit 1's journey on the Mars front lines to Berg. He is referencing Def Stallion and his adventures on Mars. But to Berg, Durr, Patsy, and all of those who came before him will be lost to time. He doesn't even know the names of Durr or Patsy. Berg is shown the new mobile suit that is built off of the data of F90. He is shown F91. However, the core computer isn't complete yet. Of course, Seabuck's mother, Monica Arno, will be the one to complete the biocomputer for F91. His version of F91 will have the battle data of F90, along with the battle data of the past pilots. Piloting this will be Berg's way of honoring the past. As Berg flies off, Help looks at Patsy's message left for Durr. We cut back to UC-116. There's nothing that Durr could do as he accepts death. He wonders what that woman is up to. Suddenly, that woman comes on the comms. It is Veronica in the Dreg. She grabs F90. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam F90 Fastest Formula. This was a fun manga that integrated a lot of late and early UC together to bridge the gap before Crossbone Vanguard comes into the picture. Hatsuri Rona was the mastermind of the Formula project and contributed to the growth of Marzion and SNRI. This set off a domino effect that will then contribute to the Silhouette project over at Anaheim Electronics. All this while allowing the Rona family to set the stage for their empire. If you are a lore-heavy person, This is the missing manga that fills in a lot of pieces. Now, if we could just get a story of the Rona Civil War that happened between F91 and Crossbone Gundam, that would be great. What happened to Durrell Rona? He died somewhere in between those 10 years. Now that we have completed Fastest Formula, we can move on to F90 Cluster, where we return to UC-121 and the battle on the Mars surface. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, with the power of data, you too stand on the shoulders of giants. Peace.